I'm expecting a good show.
Yo, hello there. How you doing? How's it going? That was Sacrament, the secret song of Eternal Darkness. Well, one of the secret songs. There's a couple. That's one of those. Thank you, Leslie, for the sub. Thank you so much. I'm overcome with emotion. And yeah. How's it going? No cheating. No shit. Anyway, so today we have a movie night, pretty much. So what is this about? This is Devin's run. As you can see, Uilnslcoap. I don't really know how to pronounce it. I hope that's close. I don't really know. I might just call him Devin, honestly. I don't know. We'll see. This is a very old run from 2011. Is the best and the last segmented run of the game. There was just 3 of those. 2 official ones and 1 in the middle, not so official, quote unquote, at least not by SDA. So yeah, we're going to watch it. It's gonna be kind of a reaction video, I guess, more than the other one, like the one I did from Mad Andy, because the one from Mad Andy didn't have commentary, so I just did commentary over it. This one has commentary, actually. Yeah, believe it or not, like it just says that right there. Like you can on track 2. So I extracted track 2 and I put it back into video so we can hear the original commentary. So I know I might pause the video from time to time and talk stuff, or just talk over it. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see how it goes. I think I did all the mixing. All right. Hopefully it's fine on the volume and all that. If it's not, I guess tell me. But I think it should be alright. So yeah, let's go for it. Why not?
Hello, my name is Devin Smither, and I did this speedrun of Eternal Darkness.
So remember, 2011.
I really like this game. I think it's doing an admirable job of trying to tell a story. You know, there are obviously some things about it that are sort of ridiculous when not put into video game logic about the way the story goes, but still, for its genre, for its medium, I think it's doing a really, really good job. And I just think the puzzle solving is really fun, and that it had a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
I've seen this prologue so many times, it's just sort of a weird flashback to see this again and ever again. I think it'll be kind of stressful to watch this opening just because I've done it so many hundreds, I suppose.
Nice lighting wall.
I do like ice skating, Alex. I think that's very funny in the prologue there, jamming the reload button while you walk around.
I don't think I ever knew that you could do it that way, so that's interesting already. I usually do that by tapping the control stick a lot, but I guess you can do it with R. I just didn't even thought about it.
The control stick down and the text appears, and the L trigger, so that we're going straight into running as soon as I dismiss the text.
Let's see how good is the clock.
And
it's
that's
pretty good.
Great clock, even with the trick that I learned from Spiral Out about slowing it down using the D-pad to get at those last few ticks. Getting it really perfect is still quite rare.
Yeah, so Spiral
I'm
Out.
really pleased with how.
Just 1 second. Spiral Out is the second segmented runner, by the way. So there was Mad Andy 2005, then 2010, I think, Spiral Out, and then 2011 Uilnslcoap. So there was some small communication between Spiral Out and Uilnslcoap.
How the running in the Roivas mansion went, like, you know, across the library just then and such. It's pretty good. Really, this whole chapter is a very nice run. The worst things that happened involved loading luck. The actual execution is not bad.
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. I used to have trouble getting Pious out of this, but then I found out that down left gets you right out and leads you almost straight to the ladder there. That made doing this chapter over and over again
was
easier.
The first run you watched?
Once
nice.
I knew that was true every time.
I've never watched it myself. I watched like parts of it. And the second segmented attempt too. I watched
Picking
some
up
of those.
Items, yeah. Depending on the position you stand in, either the camera will zoom in on the item, or sometimes,
That's pretty
with
good.
some items, as you stand in the perfect position, the camera will cut straight to the item instead of doing the slow zoom. And all of the 4 granite blocks in this level can be done quickly. That is, can have the camera zoom into them very fast instead of having to have the lingering zoom. That's really very good loading look just then on the putting the Chaturga block in. Sometimes when you put a block in, it will take a couple of seconds even to decide that it's okay to show the next bit.
Okay, taking the long turn here. It's a little bit faster to do the sneak and taking
getting the blue block in. I
shorter.
Do a pretty good job
Path.
of getting just close enough to be able to insert it. The second block I put in. Pretty happy with how that went.
No punching doors, of course. That was discovered way later.
And that guy is.
That was a long loading time.
Sort of stick to the wall on the right so that you can pass him on the opposite side. It's one of the mistakes I made just then. I could have dismissed the
yeah, I agree.
Text a little sooner. I'm chopping up the Pious statue.
I think not even Swiken was doing that.
Sometimes you got a really cool camera angle pressing the button if you stood Pious in just the right place. Ah, I nicked a zombie right there. That's the other minor but definitely present mistake. This is actually pretty good, running up to the pedestal and
Sota, look at that.
Triggering the end of the chapter. Picking up the idol essence artifact. One of the many names it goes by.
Hello, Stella.
And pretty good on the save as well.
Alright, so hang on. There's some things to unpack already.
One of the many names it goes by.
Let me pause right here.
And pretty good on the save as well.
Okay, so first of all, like Sir said, turning around before picking up items, some items, it's actually a very advanced tech. I mean, it's today is like standard, but for the time it was very advanced. And like I said before, I think Swiken didn't do that a whole lot on his runs, so it's pretty good. And this time, by the way, 431 is actually sick. I remember at some point just attempting some I guess glitchless you can call it, or like all strats Pious, you know, like without punching doors and stuff like that. And it's actually hard to get this time. Like this is a good time for saving right after Pious. It's in-game time, so it takes all the loading time, all those things, but still. And I'm almost positive this is on Wii, just because of the loading times. It looks too fast in general to be GameCube, I think. I might be wrong, but I almost sure just by my like sense of the game, I got a feeling that those are Wii. Also, it's on widescreen.
Best I ever did. See you next segment. Hello again. This is part 2 of my speedrun.
So I put all this together, by the way.
Elia is my least favorite character in the entire Eternal Darkness canon.
Really? I love Elia.
Oh, I wonder what it would be like if I had a destiny that special. Dies. Nice job, Elia. I do a pretty good job pausing right after collecting a page there.
Jeez.
So that you don't even see anything but the top of Alex's
I mean, it's
head.
true.
The camera doesn't zoom back out.
He's not wrong about that.
Start reading.
Okay, so 1 second. Today, the standard for turnarounds is to like sneak a little bit. It speeds up the turnaround a lot because of the camera. You can do quick turnarounds if the camera is still, either walking or running even. Yeah, like you just do a quick turnaround running. But if the camera is like just stopping or it just stopped moving, we do with sneak. So that's something we won't see on this run a lot.
The beginning of Elia is very, very rote. Run around in the proper angle as quickly as possible, then hallway, chamber, hallway.
It could be, sir.
Down the hall, and
I wouldn't be surprised.
Cutscene, and scroll zombie text, and finally fight a zombie. But even then, it's pretty routine. Hit him once in the chest.
Okay, body.
Deal with the sanity text one more time, and I would often mess up blowing out both of those candles at the same time.
Let's see if he goes for the head or the body.
It'd be really aggravating, and I'd have to start again. As far as I can tell, whenever you get a cutscene that sort of takes place in the in-game engine's time, you only get as much sprint back as that scene takes. But if you get a cutscene where the characters go on talking at some length, it seems to me that you get all of your stamina back.
Okay, to correct on that, just quickly, it depends on the cutscenes. Some cutscenes give you stats back. It's like program. Other cutscenes don't, I think. But he's right about the in-game quote-unquote cutscenes where you recover. It only works on cutscenes where you are animated. Another thing important here is that Uilnslcoap is walking here instead of sneaking, because I think it was just a couple years later that you discover the walking thing, sir, when you were doing your TISs.
I really owe a lot of gratitude, I suppose, to Spiral Out. I think that his run-walk pattern is pretty much how it goes for me. I changed a very few things just in terms of run a little longer here, walk a little longer there.
Yeah, Spiral Out actually routed a lot of this game after Mad Andy. That's why I always put...
My timing with the traps is
his
really
run
not bad.
as a segmented run, even if
That's
it's
fun. I really
unofficial.
like just sort of stopping shy and then running through. Taking that blowgun killed so many runs. A little bit off here, a little bit off there. Dismissed the text a little too soon, blah blah blah. Once I get this far in the level, I usually don't make any execution mistakes. Most of it is fairly simple, but the zombies can crowd you in just the wrong way occasionally, and that'll stop a good run sometimes. But really, most of it here is just hoping you don't get a sanity effect.
Yeah, the route is similar, just
And that's
with walking
very frustrating. Anytime randomness is the
instead of
the
sneaking.
reason for something being good or bad, you get very frustrated. Now, I did say usually sort of longer, sort of speech-driven cutscenes give you all your stamina back. That's not the case here. For whatever reason, you get your stamina back when you grab the staff. And I think that's because grabbing the staff gives you both a sanity and a health heal,
Okay, that's a little bit wrong, but it's just a misconception. It's actually the cutscene that gives you everything back. The thing is, when you recover the stamina, it doesn't, like, you don't see the effect of the stamina recovery immediately. It takes like a couple seconds, or maybe just 1 second, but basically enough time for you to grab the staff that it will make you think that is the staff that gives you the stamina thing.
at any point in the game gives you all your sprint stamina back, which is why a health pool will constantly give you sprint stamina, as we'll see much later in the game. At least substantially later in the game. This is really fun right here. Here it comes. Slice! Crush! Very nice. It's very pretty. Running down that hallway is pretty good all told in terms of just like looking fun as you effortlessly go through the traps.
You think it's delayed
Not
by
great
script
loading
after the
left. I'm putting
cutscene? Okay.
staff into the mechanism there, a bit of a long dark screen.
Hello, no. How's it
I'm
going?
gonna run out from behind these guys and slowly sneak on up the stairs while they sort out their zombie differences.
Yeah, walking upstairs is unoptimal, but it took a while for us to figure that out.
I am a little upset by the fact that I ran Elia just a bit too ragged so that at the end of the level she's not sprinting anymore. And right here I run into a zombie for a second, and that also is not pretty, but honestly it's still a very good run, and better to have used up all your sprint than not used enough of it. At least I got every drop from her reservoir. This level is very boring in a lot of ways in that you're just sort of... Once the mechanism is back in, all you're doing is run to the end. Not very exciting. And oh, she's tired. No, I tried to rest her, but oh, she's still tired. And that's pretty ugly, but really in the big scheme of things, a second, maybe two lost. Not too sad about it. Though I do wish that I could have perfected it. It's a boring chapter, and I was pretty glad when it was over, honestly. Dramatic and sweet pause. You can sort of see Alex before it paused, which is kind of a shame. Not as good as it could have gone, but that's another segment.
Okay, so some commentaries in it. Yeah, about the... I think walking routes are actually harder than sneaking routes, in my opinion. I remember doing some walking routes before, like, reading about the sneaking on the forum, because I don't remember actually if Swiken has sneaking the last record. Maybe Wintalong have it. I don't remember. But yeah, I feel like it's easier to get out of stamina with walking routes. Also, when you get low stamina, you get tired, you start recovering stamina slower, which kind of sucks. And another thing here, I think it would be more optimal to, if you want to save before Anthony, to like actually save, I guess, maybe after getting the page on that same pause, because every pause is like, the first pause of every segment takes a lot of time.
Hello, and welcome to part 3 of my speedrun, which is Anthony.
But yeah, I actually remember Devin talking about better, like optimizing better save spots.
Definitely of these first few chapters right here, Anthony's is my favorite, just because I think the route is so fun. And that's really all Spiral out, actually. He did just about all of the route for this, and I only made one change, and I'll comment on that when I get there.
From my research, it is
I really find Anthony fairly boring before
I really
we
quite
got all
enjoy
the tech.
Anthony's chapter altogether. I think the concept, the motif of him decaying, becoming more and more of a zombie throughout the level is really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, casually, I like it. Speedrun wise, I like it with modern technology, but with old technology, I find it kind of boring.
Oh my god, what is it?
Especially because all the urns things.
You have proven what we have feared the most.
Pretty
yeah,
good
by the way,
voice acting all told in this game. Even the minor characters usually don't suck, and I really like most of the principals. I take it easy going around the corner on those stairs, particularly, and the pews right before them, because it's easy to get caught on a nasty little corner there, waiting to get you with its collision.
And the tone. So I think there is a couple of glitches on this run.
And we've completed the first of our many visits.
We'll see.
To the Hall of the Tome of
But it should be like
Eternal
2 at
Darkness,
least.
or whatever you want to call it. No, I think it's so funny in this game, and obviously in a lot of games, that, you know, these apparently moral, noble characters are just running around, grabbing things, picking things up, smashing them to get what's inside them. And, you know, sometimes not even yet knowing that there is an eternal darkness to fight.
So I think Devin had the right idea there, doing the pause right after the pickup. That actually gives you a quick turnaround, because after a pause the camera is fixed. But for some reason he still got the long turnaround. I'm not sure what was that about, but it's fine.
I really wish it had turned out that it was
this is the
faster to go
oldest
grab
strat.
the torch, come back here, and kill this zombie rather than use the scram sacks on them, because I think it looks so much more smooth and
Yeah,
cool.
makes sense.
But using the little sword is a couple seconds faster, so you gotta go with that.
Exactly.
Ugh, missing the second zombie there. It does happen half the time, so it was, you know, good chance that it was going to appear in the final run, but I'm sorry it did all the same. Just sometimes can't hit that second zombie.
You can
Really
prevent
not
that
a good room, all told. I got a little too close to the bishop there. But I do want to get close to the door right at the end there, because I've been right on the lip of it and not had the B button prompt come up.
If you don't target, you're always gonna get that
hit.
hit.
Always a good idea. One of the many reasons why it's a good idea to use the Zelatoth alignment for your speedrun, because you can burn the Zelatoth zombies and get runes out of them very quickly. Just like the Mantrax zombie. Now,
Or you can make the Oyalt zombies explode too.
All the stuff around the fountain, I think, is actually pretty fun. If you haven't seen it done as quickly as this, I think it's very nice if you like this game and sort of like what it's about. Spiral Out did all of this. I saw it and I thought it was just, you know, perfect, and so I adopted it wholesale. Really fun. One of the two most fun things for me in this level.
This fucking cutscene. It's so weird to watch it. Intended, you know? It's been a while.
Okay, that pressure plate killed probably the most runs of anything in the level, because you have to be close enough to it that you can put the urns down, the filled urns down, but not so close that you trigger the pressure plate, because you'll bring out the door opening cutscene, and then you'll get another cutscene after you successfully keep the door open. So you want to only have that door opening cutscene once. Well,
yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think I was doing head struts too at the beginning. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone was doing head struts before Sir told us not to. No animation cancels. The thing is, you mean no auto cancels? You get auto cancel from head attacks on Anthony with the two-edged sword, and also with the scram attack. So there's actually no point on doing auto cancels. Now just wait for it, because this actually has auto cancels later.
You know, was a problem. A lot of the time I would go too far, step on it, come up a little short, and it would say, Anthony cannot use that now, when I clicked on the urn. It was a real pain.
Yeah, like, actually, just one note. Head strats are actually not bad for beginners, because you don't need to cancel them, and you will always get clean shots. Whereas arm strats, it's harder, because in order to be faster, you need to cancel your attacks. Yeah.
Thankfully gotten past. Right here I wanted to be able to go past the Mantrax zombie inside to the table instead of outside to the shelves, but I couldn't get it to work.
What about the Trapper?
This is the difference between my route and Spiral Out's route. I'd take a kind of wimpy, like, trigger the Trapper from a distance tactic, whereas Spiral Out ran right up to it, turned right around, and made for the door and just barely escaped.
Yeah.
That sanity effect right there is inescapable, by the way. But yeah, I couldn't pull off
Unless you know
Spiral
glitches.
Out's Trapper route with
yeah.
any consistency, so I had to go with this downgraded version. Just call it less skill. That's fine.
I'll talk about it later. Don't worry. I guess we can talk about just talk about it immediately. So yeah, he's right. Spiral Out. I did watch Spiral Out run, and Spiral Out went for the tight trapper activation, which is the fastest one we used to use before the strat I did with the attack, and I actually find that fairly hard. Like I find it way harder than the attack strat I do, which is faster, by the way. It's faster and easier. But yeah, this is a strat I also used to do a lot, just running around until it activates. And yeah, it works. But it can also be scary if you don't react in time.
These final couple of, well, not final couple of zombies, but these zombies in the hallway right there, I want them to get their attack animation going so that they cannot grab me from behind as I go past them. So I do that.
Alright, horror fight.
Now this horror right here is my
This Zelda
other
horror
favorite thing in this chapter.
You can't use the Uyao strat.
I think that just getting those attacks in 1, 2, 3 just before you get shocked is really pretty damn cool, and I was really excited when I first saw it in Spiral Out's practice run. Wasn't sure I'd be able to do it consistently, but I actually could do it pretty consistently. Good 85-90% of the time. I wanted to go around these guys, but I would often get tangled up with them, so I decided to kill the zombie on the inside track and go past him, because it was a sure route through.
Yeah, that might take about the same time of going around, honestly.
And altogether, yeah, like really pretty good. I've definitely left room for improvement for people later, but I've at least set the bar a little higher. That was
1823.
Hello.
I think in-game time is fair. It's like pretty close to real time because it takes all the loading time into account. It's like kind of a bad timer in that sense. And also, like, you're getting the extra of, you know, all the times you load and you save, of course. So that's like the bad part about segmented.
Hello again, and welcome to the Kareem commentary. Kareem's chapter was very annoying. There are so many ways it can go wrong. You can screw up the fighting. You can hit a sanity effect in a couple of places. You can get all your health taken away at just the wrong point so that you're limping around. Which does happen at one point in this chapter, but it's not as bad as it might look.
Some things
because
don't
I'm
change,
able to
yeah.
recover fairly quickly, and all the enemies are dead, and
it's true. Kareem has always been a hard
that's
chapter.
actually pretty good loading luck on the both the enchant of the key and using it to unlock the door. There's not a very long black screen in between. Running down the hallway there is pretty good too.
Dreams.
Yeah, this is absolutely Wii,
Modern
by the way.
psychology of
I can tell by now. We would still be on Anthony if it was GameCube. Going a little bit farther away there.
Starting in this chapter, sort of, but even like sort of ramping up, I would say, in the next chapter, you start to see an assigned plan developing for the spells, in terms of how much you're going to use each of them, and
Let's see, quick pickup. Yeah, nice.
which ones are getting assigned and when. But of course, there are only 2 possible spells by the end of this.
Okay,
chapter.
no auto cancel here.
I don't use
And
a 3-point
but that's on
cover
purpose.
spell. so there's really only one.
Okay, this is actually interesting.
That hit right there is on purpose to knock me out of the
Okay, that's actually really cool.
finishing animation before grabbing the rune.
Okay, hang on. There's some things to unpack here. So that not canceling that thing works because if you held the target button after getting rid of the head, you can target the head again on these zombies. And if you kill the head twice, you will get rid of the zombie. You will defeat it. And you can do that with a sharp weapon if you do this trick of keep targeting. So you have to don't cancel the attack. I'm actually impressed that was like a strat. And the other thing, it's also useful since you don't need to finish, like every time you finish a zombie, you need to finish the animation if it is with a melee weapon for the zombie to disappear. So if you get interrupted, it won't disappear. So a trick like this would be bad on Ramdao fight. But here is good because you only need to get the rune. You don't need the zombie to disappear. So getting hit on purpose
like
is
sneaking
good.
in front of everybody to get to the ladder there. I think that looks very, very cool. Very close call, which is a lot of fun.
And yeah, just having enough space to run there too. It's a cool
Dash
strat.
out of there. I think they all saw me, but maybe one of them didn't see me.
No torch, sadly.
This actually looks really good, even though it doesn't really matter whether they make a noise at me or not. The fact that they didn't looks really nice. The trappers, that is, didn't even like get a chance to like make their little shrieking noise at me. I don't run straight down the hall here because I have to avoid running into that dead guy because he has collision. And here's where the crazy music comes in. I must say I grew not to care for the crazy,
Oh, look at that! Double roar?
screaming, baby crying music by the end of this.
No double
run.
roar, but early sanity damage.
aggravating.
Weird.
This horror kill is pretty good. I managed to get the first 2 head hacks in before I can get shocked. I'll only have to give him 1 more. I do spend a little too much time, I feel like, lining up my shot for the final hack at his head, though. That's a little bit... could have been better.
Okay, recovering stamina. I mean, sanity.
Getting around this chapter is not 100% at all. I'd say it has a 50% or maybe slightly worse success rate. But once you make it to this point where you've triggered the Alex Edward, actually Pious, cutscene, you're going to be okay with regard to the trapper. Once you've made it that far, you're going to be alright. Running between those 2 zombies also.
Also, New Game Plus.
Really cool.
So you get 2 extra zombies there.
You barely edge between them. And we start the big business. I wondered if I would have to switch to the Ramdao, but it was more efficient to just go ahead and hack these guys.
Okay, actually, he's not attacking. He's not canceling his attacks, which I find a little bit weird because I remember Spiral out canceling attacks on at least on Paul, like against Anthony. I think, yeah, definitely against Anthony. But he's doing the entire attacks. He did it on the horror too, so I was expecting attack cancels actually.
Down one at a time because the weapon is strong enough for that. I was really worried during a lot of these fights that the camera angle would screw me up, that I would kill the wrong zombie. But on this run it actually went very well. I killed the zombies that I down blast, so that they're dying as the ones that I downed earliest are evaporating naturally. So yeah, you want to make sure, and I was really sure I wasn't going to hit that zombie right there, that my swing would go straight into the column there, but I got lucky enough to make it.
But yeah, you can speed up like twice without the cancels.
And I have just hacked up the final zombie. It's going to get hacked up, so that's that. Really I think, pretty cool looking. That like I'm cleaning up just as the other one is evaporating, and it's fun. I messed up both the initial attack and the second attack on that first Zelatoth zombie right there. I swing a little too early so that they don't have collision yet, aren't targetable yet, and then the second time I swing, I take off his arm. But all told, I don't think it wasted too many seconds.
As an on-target
Perhaps
target attack.
Perhaps two. I really like my strategy for killing these those bone thieves right there. I think that the sort of running back and forth between them, the spot where I choose to stand when they spawn, that's all very good. This, unfortunately, is not so good. I must have pressed B when I meant to press A or something. So I lose a second and a half, 2 seconds to just stupidity on the spell menu. Really unfortunate, but still. And then sometimes right there, with the enchant on the Ramdao, I sometimes get the enchant to happen just as the text comes up for. Sorry, not as the text comes up, as the door opens out of the big battle chamber.
Yeah, so he knew about cutscene merge.
Pretty good job running past those zombies, but
didn't have a strat for it.
Ignore.
Like a
Hello,
timing
big
strat for
roaring
it.
guy. Sorry, don't have time for you. Bigger fish to fry.
Like he was just trying to get it by chance from time to time, I guess.
That could have been a little faster. Putting the Tome of Eternal Darkness on the bone stand takes a little too long, but it's still not bad. Still a good run.
And now barrier fight.
I ended up using the overhead vertical slices rather than the
This is gonna take a lot.
horizontal one, which you get if you just target them but then don't target a body part and press A. Because sometimes you swing into the wall.
But yeah, this is what I remember from So I Can Run.
Overhead, you're always going to get them.
Killing everything we run
Except
down.
that I do use that attack on the Bone Thief to make sure that I hit him. That he's coming up in a second. I want to make sure that I kill the Zelatoth zombies here rather than the Mantarok ones, because the Zelatoth zombies could get back up. If you hit them in the head once, they can still revive.
So yeah, finishing animation with Ramdao is extremely slow. That's the thing.
Thankfully, most of these went okay. It could have easily happened that one of these zombies could have gotten back up, but I managed to kill all of them. And there's the one Bone Thief, and there's the one Bone Thief dead. So I was happy with that. I was glad that was over.
Very low HP.
Kind of wish that I had gotten the zombies instead of the Bone Thief, but when they're all in a clump like that, it's hard, because the reason I wish I hadn't gotten the Bone Thief is I barely missed killing that zombie before he can get back up, and because I have to make sure that he's dead, all that horror spawning, I get hit and or shocked, and then I'm limping, and luckily the blow does still kill him one time. Sometimes it takes more than one hack to kill him, and that's a run killer. But I use the enchant really quick from my little family heirloom to get my health back so that I can sprint over and grab the idle essence dealy, or at least try to grab it to end the chapter efficiently.
Yeah, that's good enough.
So yeah, that could have been a little better, but really this is a very difficult chapter with a lot of potential for problems. So to even get it as clean as that, with maybe 8 or 9 or 10 seconds worth of mistakes, is still good. And I tried to improve it, but I couldn't. And
2804. All right, so we actually took a lot of time to figure out that on that fight, the only thing that matters is the horror. So technically, you can just leave the zombies alive or the bone thief. Only horror matters for the last cutscene. The other thing is you can speed up that fight a little bit with Torch on Celta. And just chakrams, of course, but that's kind of advanced technology, of course.
Hello, and welcome to part 5 of my speedrun, Maximilian Noivus.
Another thing, so Uilnslcoap paused there right after Kareem, so that gets rid of the
I'll comment here on my choices for
The sequel
when to
effect.
assign a spell to quick spell. Basically, if the spell was going to be used more than once within a couple of minutes of each other, I decided that it was alright to assign the spell at that point, that it was going to be better for the time, not to have to access the menu a couple of times to cast it, only to have to access it once. But there were a few spells that I sort of wish could have made it that I just didn't find room for, like Summon Trapper happens at least 3 times, maybe 4, but definitely 3 times, and I never found room for it.
today happens
spell
like 20
assigning
times.
There might be holes in my thinking as far as what spell I chose to assign when, but I think it's mostly good that I got a fair majority of it correct, and that there are only minor issues to be worked out.
Yeah, so Dresser Key before Max, it's a spiral out strat.
Figuring out whether to get the tome or the pump handle first in this level turned out to be
Nice.
sort of weirdly difficult to time and figure out what was efficient. I eventually decided
8 so
the
far?
pump handle second was best. And that collection of the pistol there is one of the quick cuts, not slow zooms on the camera. And can I just say how much I am pressing B in this game? As I am approaching doors, as I am gathering items where you have to press B a bunch of times, as I am dismissing letters and tome collections and such. There's a lot of pressing B in this game.
I do agree with that.
Oh, having to take that extra step to the kitchen just looks so stupid. Oh, God. Choosing to go in
Early
here after
enchantment.
collecting the tome means the risk of the trapper, which isn't too bad, but also that lady cleaning the floor there could be a bone thief and can block you in the pantry if you screw it up. I like this slashing. Boom! Right as he's, coming into view, mounting the stairs toward you. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no attack from behind. Is it just 2 attacks from behind or not? I don't remember, though. On Zelda.
I feel like the
Might not
decision
be.
to use the enchanted guns is my first really significant sort of fingerprint on the run. The first thing that I really feel proud that I thought of, and that I think worked out really well, and that future runners might well consider as the
Yeah, I think this
definitive route.
is
Maybe
new.
you could make the sword work better for the horrors, but
There's someone here.
I don't know.
Yo.
You don't have to run up to them with the guns, and it's still pretty fast, even though you have to reload them.
Thank you for the host.
Every kill in this level I think is fun. I like, getting this guy from a distance right before he can get his magical attack off. Bang! This guy. That's pretty fun.
By the way, is the alert too loud?
Mistake in this,
It might be too loud because my
spell
volume is way
assigning
up.
session. Just put a moment here. I scroll over to check and have to shift back to assign, but I don't think it wasted maybe half a second. And I can live with that, considering how well everything else.
The
Barely
lady.
loaded that bullet before the bone
He
thief
invented
lady.
the gun
pushed
only
me.
strats? Okay.
And that was the last bullet I had, but I collected.
Yeah, I had the
5
same
more
feeling.
just then in front of the basement door. I use every bullet.
I think I remember Spiralot having having saber strats.
that I collect in this
Or maybe like hybrid strats, like using both gun and saber.
level, which I think is fun in a sort of OCD way. One reason I decided to pick up the pump handle after the tome is because you only have to scroll vertically in the menu once to select it when you collect things in this order. And I like to avoid scrolling both horizontally and vertically in the same session if I can avoid it.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
That kill is also pretty fun, but you never even see the zombie, just the ring flying up to the screen.
Shield?
It's pretty cool.
Shield sell that. Yeah. I remember this strat. Like, remember watching it on Spike and Runs. I remember doing it too.
The level really boils down in the end, as long as you don't do too badly on the first part. It pretty much is decided on whether you get a good run on this guy. And that's just teleportation luck. Where will the guy teleport to, and how quickly will he become solid again so that you can shoot him some more?
Not really, no. Because today we actually used that door for a dead skip.
Just have to get up the stairs slightly to get the shots over and hit him. And that is an incredibly lucky teleport. You want to make sure you have both bullets loaded before you start firing again, and you want to make sure that he's highlighted before you use a bullet, because you'll...
That was a pretty fast fight.
But I try to make it quick anyway. And I think, yeah, that was just a spectacularly lucky run on the boss there. And using the guns turned out to be a pretty good idea. That's part 5. See you next time.
So yeah, gun strats. Thanks to Uilnslcoap. That's pretty good. Yeah, in terms of, like, I guess beginner strats, you can go for the pump first if you want to completely avoid the trapper. If you just don't want to mess with the trapper, you can go for the pump first and then the tome. But it's always gonna be slower.
Hello, and welcome to part 6 of this Eternal Darkness speedrun. Edwin Lindsay.
Here we go, Lindsay.
I tend to call him Lindsay.
Everyone calls him Lindsay.
Because there's already Edward Roivas and Michael Edwards. A lot of Edwards going around. Lindsay's distinct.
Even the game calls him Lindsay.
I'm very proud of how this chapter went, of my performance in this chapter in general. I think I put in a lot of practice, and I think that it looks really great in its final form. There are a couple of mistakes, but I'm mostly very happy with it. One of my 3 favorite segments, along with parts 9 and 15.
Whoa, interesting. I was expecting him to say stuff like in Kareem,
Unfortunately, this revolver equip here is a mistake. Turns out using the pickaxe later to enter the max murder room disarms it, and I have to re-equip it afterward. So, mistakes.
Shotgun strats.
This, however, is not a mistake. Bang! The one-shot kill on the Gatekeeper is really good. It's not something I get every time, even though I feel like I should. So it was nice to have it in the final version.
Yeah, so that's something about segmented runs. That's one of the problems of segmented runs, is that you might figure out stuff later when you are doing later segments, and you can't go back and correct them, the segments are already done.
This green smoke, foggy stuff on the floor is green as long as the Gatekeeper is alive, and just starts to turn gray as I go into the Tome of Eternal Darkness hallway, or whatever it is. That was the closest I ever came to having the fog stay green by the time I made it to the Tome of Eternal Darkness, but didn't quite.
Also, Torch.
This trapper is actually fairly dangerous. I think probably got me like a little third of the time, maybe a little more than that.
Is that cutscene different with Torch?
And I go to the right a little bit before that trigger. That's not necessary, but for the trigger immediately following it is, so I don't think it wasted any time.
I can feel a little
Just
bit of
dodged
insecure
that side of the
movement
hallway
on Lindsay.
earlier than I normally would have. And Lindsay is very tired now, so it's good that he's taking a little breather. The cutscene gives that to him. I'm pretty pleased with my navigation of, like, just sort of getting close to the corners and to doorways most of the time and such. You're about to see the first of many shield spells on this level. It serves three purposes to use a green shield. It's a sanity barrier. It acts as a standard shield against certain traps, and it lets Lindsay rest as he casts it so that he can keep on spraying rest. I like waiting here and only letting that one zombie see me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Running between them after I've burned.
So yeah, if you cast a spell there, that zombie gets closer to you. I don't think it really matters. If you run straight to it to burn it, I think there's some scenarios where you can get grabbed by a zombie. This is a little bit tight, but yeah, just
The rune
interesting.
zombie is actually pretty dangerous. You can get grabbed from behind, and that ends the run.
And yeah, just going reckless because of shields.
It's a pretty decent creation and spell assign right there. Not too
Now
bad.
this is interesting. It's gonna dispel the shields.
I could have gone a little earlier before the
That kinda sucks.
dispel hit the ground. And so I get shocked as a result on the way out. I'm about 50-50 on getting shocked by that horror before.
Wait, no, I don't think you got shot.
It's a pretty decent
Did you?
creation and spell assign right there. Not too bad. I could have gone a little earlier before after the dispel hit the ground.
Oh, you did. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
And so I get shocked as a result on the way out. I'm about 50-50 on getting shocked by that horror before I can make it out of that room. Now,
Yeah, of
it's
course, no
nice, actually,
clips.
with this zombie down the stairs here, the room
That
zombie
makes sense.
that I burned just now. Usually he sees me and disperses two of the little shield light ball things that float around me. And that, because I was able to kill him before he saw me this time, I was able to cast shields one fewer times. But I did, unfortunately, run
Okay, going this
into,
way first? That's interesting.
That guy's little issue.
And burning
Normally,
why?
the first zombie in the hallway
What's
I just
going on
left
here?
goes down without flailing around all over the place, just goes to the floor. But this time he decided he would stay up and occupy the space I normally run down. So I ended up having to run down the opposite side of the hallway than I usually do.
Oh, I guess, is it just a mistake?
And I will say that after that, I don't think there are any other serious mistakes in the level.
Okay, okay. Hopefully it doesn't go too low
Now
stamina.
note that I only have one little shield ball
Yeah, no, it's
because
fine,
I lost
because of the
most of
shields.
it to the trap earlier for the horror's sanity steal right there. Whether I had 3 shield balls or...
Okay, no, it's not a mistake. It's just that it's going the other way around. Yeah. But I think you still do one extra trip, do you? Maybe not. No, you do. You do like half of one hallway twice.
One, going into that room, the horror was going to disperse
Like
it
half
either
of the
way,
last hallway twice, I think.
entirely. So it's fine to just have as little shield as possible for a bigger creature's sanity steal, because it's the same thing as having an entire shield. So you might as well efficiently use it on a trap earlier. And I unfortunately set off the gas in this hallway. I didn't mean to do that. It ends up so that I lose a meaningless little bit of health, but also the shield around me is dispersed, and I lose some more sanity to these Mantarok zombies, making it a little more likely that I'll hit a sanity effect.
It's a lot
near the
more.
end of the level. But that didn't happen this time, thankfully.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, yeah. Seems to be a full extra one. I don't remember what Spiral Out did here. I do remember Matt Andy also doing kind of a long turn. I think.
I feel like I should say at this point that if you see anything in this run that you think is, you know, sort of a terrible, unforgivable mistake as far as a run that should be submitted to SDA, you should know that I did become a father about 2 months before I started this run. And,
oh yeah, I remember.
my son grew from 2 months to 10 months old during the recording of this run.
Isn't really.
Yeah, I remember Uilnslcoap talking about that on the forum of his SDA, and it was one of the reasons why also he didn't do like full runs, because of, you know, lack of having like 2 hours straight, which is very fair, you know, like it's hard to get the free time, of course.
And there were just...
So in that sense, segmented is kind of a good option, because you can like just grind, you know, like 15 minutes a segment or something, or even half an hour a couple times. And if it doesn't work, you can just come back on another day.
I had some higher priorities sometimes than getting things exactly as perfect as I would have wanted if I were without a child, and if I were single even. It would mean a lot more time to be able to get it as perfect as I would have wanted.
Yeah, so
but this is a big improvement.
Sanity is
over the old
maintaining
SDA
like
one.
above 50% all this time, or not? Yeah, because no sound.
By now I am starting to be in danger of hitting a sanity effect on the bottom floor here. This is one of my favorite hallways. I think that it's very evident that I've practiced in watching this, because I'm taking the best route I know how to avoid setting off any traps and stopping to breathe just long enough for Lindsay to keep going and stuff. It's pretty cool. Obviously, not being able to see the trap triggers right in front of you because
okay,
the
low
camera
sanity
angle
now.
makes it look really fun. I think.
So now we are on RNG territory.
I also set off this trap right here by accident, these blades that I'm running through now. But as it turns out, I didn't lose the shield that I had built up for other purposes anyway, and so it doesn't really matter.
Don't let him get me. Help me.
Torch on zombie.
I have finally got the last non-Paragon rune. Creating the last couple of spells and doing one
full time, nice.
Points.
Thanks.
And it's great because that spell is the health pool spell, which gives you infinite sprint, and I feel like that really opens up the game in a big, important way here. I feel like it's so much more freeing at this point to be able to not have to worry about your character's virtual lung capacity and such.
Yeah, shield allows you to don't have to worry about those blades.
Sprint, hope for no sanity effects. This time it didn't happen, so that's wonderful. I do think Lindsay's level is better than Elia's, but I do think in general that this Cambodian temple is probably the... it is Cambodian, I'm pretty sure it is. This temple is probably the worst setting in the game. I think at its core, Eternal Darkness is much more of an adventure game than an action game, and all this, trap triggers with gas and darts and blades, it doesn't really play to Eternal Darkness's strength, and I think it highlights the fact that this is not really an action game in a serious and good way, but that the adventure elements, the little puzzle elements, really take precedence. But I really liked the way that this run turned out, and that was part 6.
4509.
See you next time.
Okay.
Hello again, and now it's time for the first of several Paul segments.
Several. Oh, interesting.
This turned out to be one of my most frustrating segments. Even looking at it in its final form, there are still a couple of rather noticeable errors, and that gets on my nerves a bit. But considering that I spent 4 more hours in addition to the multiple hours that I put in on the initial run, but I spent 4 more hours chopping off 2 more seconds from my previous best attempt.
Well,
I'd gotten a 5750 and just really wanted it to be just under that, and after a lot of effort I was finally able to do that, but it really did take it out of me. I think the most probably upset I ever got playing the game was doing this chapter.
that is really interesting. You know, with all strats, Paul was like the easiest chapter for me. Like before all the complicated things, like the horror stuff, and even with the horror stuff, if you don't get the frame, it's not that complicated. Like the for me, the complicated stuff in Paul is like the really modern stuff, like skipping 5 circle, you know, things like that. And I guess the walking on custodian cutscene, which I don't even do it. But with all
the
strats,
actual game itself, I
for me, it was just annoying, but not hard.
think Paul's chapter is great. Really, nice sort of atmosphere of doom and gloom. There's a thunderstorm. You're unraveling a mysterious plot, a conspiracy to hide a demonic cult within the church itself during the Inquisition. You're questioned by the authority. You don't know that the authority itself is, the very corruption that the Inquisition would... that they'd have you believe the Inquisition was fighting. Yeah, I think it's, in and of the game itself, Paul's chapter is a lot of fun.
Almost. We got an Anthony one.
I really do like the way they sum up each character sort of taking on the experiences of the previous Tome of Eternal Darkness bearers. The flashes of memory and images.
No, Paul is actually shield with beginner strats.
Very effective way of summing up how the person sort of comes to understand the powers and
You just have a lot of running. So that's why I'm saying, like, it was annoying.
It's really bad, really annoying looking. The sort of walking around aimlessly, it would seem, as I try to ring the bell, but that's just something that happened some of the time. It's annoying to me that it ended up being in the one that was final, but I do not have to move to talk to the custodian right here, and you don't even see the talk
Plus menu.
the little B button in the top right corner come up, so I felt like that at least sort of made up for the looping bad run during the bell ringing. The camera really stinks on that bell ringing room, actually. I enjoyed running right past that little corner, right past that little pillar there as a way of saving just a little time. Liked doing the small touches. And try only to use the sprint pool, when it was absolutely necessary, as little as possible. I do make a mistake and
Torch for the
move when I
zombies.
grab the torch there, so that I have to press B multiple times again to interact with it. But
You're gonna
not
actually
much of
grab that
not much time
torch
lost.
from very far away. Like almost from the carpet.
I always wanted in the final run somehow for it to be efficient to go ahead and just go grab the mace in the Book of Reliquaries down here before getting the Tome of Eternal Darkness. But couldn't really find a way to make that work. You didn't have enough sprint, and it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't
I would
sound
have
like
liked for it to have worked out that way, but
a good idea to
I
me.
have to run around the whole dang thing in a really weird way. I do think that it's pretty cool, the route I came up with in terms of when I arm each weapon, and making sure that I do that along with another need to interact with the pause menu, such as using the podium key a little bit ago.
Alright, it's good to know that Uilnslcoap did some pause optimization then. That's cool.
I go up these stairs and do this business first so that I can come back with a shield and make sure to get around that guy without a problem. The guy who just got possessed by a bone thief. That zoom on the diary page right there is actually avoidable. I made a small mistake, wasn't quite adjusted properly to get the quick camera.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I actually don't know if it was his mistake. Like, I haven't dig enough into this, but I think that quick pickup, it depends on the bone thief. I don't think it depends on you. And now, that said, you can have the proper movement to make the bone thief, you know, be on the proper position. But what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't. I don't think it depends on pole position.
Cut onto it.
But I'm not 100% sure.
I could have run by that guy a little better, but it's alright. This Anthony fight really isn't the best either. It goes decently, but
I really want to see
feel
attack
like
cancels.
missing 2 swipes
Pretty
is
sure
a lot
Spiral
worse
outdid
than
it.
missing only 1. I did miss 2 here when he's getting
Doesn't
back
do
up
it.
after the
I'm gonna have to go check
initial
that.
knockdown right here. Miss, hit, miss, and then a bunch of hits. And I feel like, you know, the missing is like, while maybe around average, still like pretty ugly looking. Future runners, I think, should look for the opportunity of getting him right up against the wall, because if you can swing right into a wall, it doesn't take as long to sort of reset your swing. You can get multiple swings in at the same time. Or not at the same time, but subsequently, right
auto
after
cancels.
one. A lot of running around in this level. A lot of just crossing the same spaces over and over again. Oh, I do like that he's breathing heavily before I catch that, use the pool spell again. Ooh, and just made it past that trapper that got attacked. He could have easily trappered me before the attack actually killed him properly.
Yeah, this passage used to be tighter without punching doors. I think I remember this too when I was running at the beginning.
Well, that looks fun. Ran into a wall a little bit there, unfortunately, but This goes really well. This attack on the horror here. He is stunned, and the shield holds up against him. He doesn't turn around, and he falls without trouble.
Both mace and sword and 3 hits on
Could
this
have paused a
horror.
little sooner there. You can make it.
And
so
those
that
sword attacks
Paul
are
hasn't
faster.
even really swung the mace, and you're pausing.
But I guess
on the
that'll be an
torch,
extra pause.
And then use the emerald finally. Pretty fun running down the hall, getting around those zombies just barely. Finally picked up the very last rune in the game. better to kill these guys with fire than it is to use magic attack or sword on them. Magic attack because you stand still too long. And the
I
sword
disagree.
because you have to take either 2 swings each at them. Because, oh, I'm sorry, not either take 2 swings. You have to take 2 swings at them because Paul's horizontal slice hits the walls in those narrow hallways. The sword is completely useless for him there. I do like having Paul pray to Zelatoth, it would seem to me, right there when he uses his meditation rod in front of the unholy shrine there. Diary page 3.
Alright, so just to clarify, the sword does work, it's just tight, but there is a strat to make it work. And the torch is lower because zombies, after they get burned, they still have collision for a couple seconds. Or for like 1 second. So it's actually way slower to use the torch. But I guess, yeah, the sword swings can be hard to figure out. But I think doing 2 sword swings might be even faster than a torch with collision, honestly. But that's just an estimation. And you have to pick it up. Yeah, no, but I think the torch is still good for at least to get Paragon. Because that zombie can be really annoying with sword. I'm almost sure I did time that one.
But yes, using flames seems to...
And besides, the torch is good for the Celta zombies. It's just for the Madrox zombies that you can kill them immediately. But the Celta, I think if you want to kill them on one shot, you need Enchanted, and that's kind of a time loss.
The best way to get past those zombies in the hallway. Fortunately, I do run into a zombie right there. Could have just barely gotten by him if he'd been a little more to the left, but...
That zombie is the
that's
reason
way it
why I
goes.
cut those zombies always.
You play Eternal Darkness, you play a dangerous game of enemy position. It's fairly random, sometimes controllable, but not entirely. He wasn't quite breathing heavily, but he was about to be, trust me.
Yeah, it kind of runs
Before
out
he got to
about
the
there.
piano. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered to use it just there. Piano. Organ. Excuse me.
So let's see if he goes for the circle immediately or after going to the custodian.
I have to say, while I enjoy the idea of powering up the spells
Nice.
that you already have with the 5 and the 7 point circles, I don't think that they should have made it compulsory for you to create those spells on your own, to use the runes from the spells you already knew and just add 2 or 4 paragons. I think it's fairly boring and slows down the game for, a few critical minutes as you, try to piece together everything you'll need, improve all your spells. I feel like getting 5 and 7 point spells should have automatically upgraded, and they should have just suddenly been present in the menu in there.
I agree with that.
Better.
And for the record, Dennis also agrees with that. Because I remember asking him that on one of the streams, and I asked him if he thought, I don't exactly remember, but like by today's standards, it would be like bad to do that again. But it was like a different time, a time where saves weren't automatic. Nothing was automatic, I guess, or not a whole lot of stuff. Do you know if fire spreads? I don't think it does. I think it's just for the cutscene. I've never seen
Longer spellcasting form.
fire spreading. Not even on 100% we do every single spell.
And by the 7 point spells, the voice saying Pargon 4 times to cast a spell does seem a bit ridiculous.
We just get
There are bad guys again on the way back.
every rune and codex.
Yet oddly, this big central actual church area itself remains clean of enemies throughout this chapter. Very strange, this sort of
Okay, moment of
feeling of
truth.
security in the gigantic room. Which
Oh,
you
not
would
yet,
think
okay.
There would be enemies coming from every angle, but they pay that off in a couple of chapters.
So he said several
Last,
segments. Where's the next?
I love running past these zombies, just barely.
It's just gonna be
past
2
them.
segments.
Fortunately, I run into that wall again. Ooh, running past these chapters is really good too. That's a whole lot of fun. I just snaked by these guys, so I did run into one zombie in the level, but that's alright. I'll tolerate our human imperfections. And I armed the sword right there. I thought I was going to have to fight the bone thieves that come near you when you're at the dead custodian's altar, but I was wrong about that, so arming the sword there was completely unnecessary. And unfortunately, that's how this segment just about ends. See you next time.
Okay. So it was 57 something.
Hello, and welcome to the 5-point spells portion of this Eternal Darkness run. I originally intended for the 5-point spells to be part and parcel with the next part, Part 9, but after a month and a half of delaying the next segment and just in general being burned out on the game, I decided to, give myself a little break. Wanted to get this run finished, so decided to make creating and assigning the 5-point spells, at least assigning the first couple of 5-point spells into their own segment. Even
yeah,
if,
that's fair.
It may not be that exciting to watch, but I do feel like doing it as relatively quickly and efficiently as I do is still fairly exciting for the true Eternal Darkness geek. I think that seeing it done with as few spells as possible is pretty cool. I unfortunately made the recovery spell, which may not have been necessary. The 5-point recovery spell, maybe should have just used the pool spell for sanity. But that's the end of this segment. Hope you enjoy it.
Oh, interesting. Well, at least he's gonna have a lot of room to improve the bone thieves.
Welcome to Part 9 of this
because it's right at the beginning of a segment.
Paul, Roberto, and Peter.
Paul, Roberto, and Peter? Interesting.
This is actually probably my favorite segment, really. This or Part 15. It's
You are a clever man.
it's really close. But I think my execution is probably the very best that it gets in this. I think that this is my only A effort. That even my other efforts might have been A minuses, but this one was. I did a very good job.
Attack strats.
Getting past the bone thieves earlier at the beginning of this chapter actually.
Give me a second. Was it me or did Augustine wait a whole lot there
This one was,
to move?
I did a very good job.
It did. Is this because of high res? I mean, not high res, letterbox or no, 16:9. Because I use 3.4 because I play on a CRT, and I use 3.4 on emulator because I'm used to it. This is really interesting. Look, he's barely. Hang on.
This is my only A effort. That even my other efforts might have been A minuses, but this one was.
So pay attention to the left side of the camera.
I did a very good job.
Yeah, he's just there waiting.
Getting past the bone thieves earlier at the beginning of this chapter
Interesting.
actually is.
I had no idea about that.
Not as hard as. It isn't 100%, but you.
I mean, I
can do
knew
it
about
most
that,
of the
but
time. If
I
you
didn't
just
know
cast a magic attack,
you could
so
see it.
Dodge slightly to the left and then run around them to the right. It usually works.
With the resolution.
I do the only glitch that I know of at the beginning of this chapter too. When I look at the dead custodian's body, normally when you examine an item and then move the thumbstick, it breaks you out of the examine prompt, and you have to do it all over again. But it triggers the cutscene there, and so
Yeah.
I gain a little time by not doing it. This Eternal Darkness Sanity's Redemption teaser that just went by is unavoidable, given that I decided to keep segments that ran through Alex going through the mansion.
Yeah, hello, Phoenix. Yeah, so I don't remember Spyro knew about that. About moving the camera
There is
out of the custodian.
a dead guy swinging from the
So this might be on
ceiling,
scope discovery.
not too far from here. You can see him over the piano there. And if you go up and examine him in a casual playthrough, he opens his eyes dramatically, and there's a flash.
Much has
and you
been
hear
written about the
darkness is
exploits
coming.
of conquerors.
Maybe not as good a voice actor as some of the other people in this game.
Chances are it wasn't even a voice actor. Maybe just one of the devs.
Roberto's whole chapter, I have to say, I think that it has like the,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
best combination of sprint and magic plan of the most sort of one of the most intensive besides Alex's chapter in terms of just exactly when to use magic and how much of it I would have available for its purpose everywhere. And just being, just a second ago, just having him nearly out of sprint right there is great before he pulls the lever. Gets a chance to rest while the gate's open. So
Those zombies are really annoying. It's fun to see that they were annoying even at this time. Not a whole lot has changed at the beginning of Roberto. Just
gotta dodge
punching
around
doors,
a
I
few weird
guess.
places to do the surveying of the rooms and such, but try not to make it too big a deal of it.
Okay, magical attack? Yeah. Okay. Today we do the magical attack a little bit later.
And that
gain
sanity
stamina.
effect right there is also unavoidable. Given that I decided to use 5-point sanity recovers, there's going to be one torso explosion somewhere along here. If you do these sanity recovers, I realize now that I should have looked into using a sanity pool, just like I use a magic pool and a health pool elsewhere in the game. I might have been able to efficiently only cast one instead of the, I think it's 4 in Roberto's chapter that I end up casting.
No, it doesn't punch doesn't take stamina. The thing what takes stamina is there is if you punch some ladders here, you are in a bad position like on the next room, like on a bad angle, and running from that angle takes a tiny bit more stamina, and it's just enough for you to be tired before the lever on Roberto. So there is a bunch of ladders you don't want to punch because of that.
Maybe for the next one, even if that is me a few years down the line. This is the best place I can figure out where to cast the zombie summon from, in that it
Yeah, that's the best spot.
reliably gets the zombie right near the little trap that it needs to set off.
This is probably also Uilnslcoap technology, like new technology, on where to summon the zombie.
Oh, this right here is one of the best parts of maybe the run in general. That's an extremely close
That's really
call
tight.
with that trapper. Definitely, it's not usually that close. It's really dramatic, and I'm glad that it's such a close call made it into the final run. It's very cool, very fun to watch as it was happening.
Yeah, going full
Roberto
recovery.
is prone to sanity
Interesting.
effects late and when he's low, so I decided that I had to keep him at least a pretty steady place.
You have to remember that at this time there wasn't manipulations. So even though it is a segmented, you know, you could go for the best segment with no sanity effects. It's probably very frustrating to just try over and over and like lose a run because of that, or segment rather.
Just get to the trapper as it's getting hit with the attack, because otherwise he could cast his trapper summon and grab me. Run away from the door before casting Reveal Invisible there, because otherwise I end up facing the door and it's harder to turn around than if I immediately run in a little bit, because Eternal Darkness's camera and controls are kind of stinky. So there you go. I cast Reveal Invisible in here instead of outside because I get shocked by the horror less often if I run in a ways and cast it there instead of outside, and I'm going to be sitting there for 5 runes anyway, so it doesn't matter if I do it in or out.
Is it really happening?
Okay, doing the examine on that side. Which gives you a long turnaround, usually because of the camera. Like, even if you sneak, it's kind of awkward, the turnaround. That's why I do it on the other side. Shields? Yeah.
Yeah, you can see, like, throughout a lot of the level, just barely having enough magic to get everything done that needs to get done. It's pretty fun, I think. There's only one sort of steering error that really bothers me, and that's near the beginning. In the room with all the gates going up and down, I sort of steer him wrongly when the gate first opens and the blue zombie comes out. I sort of steer him into a wall a little bit, but I don't lose much time, and it's really the only thing in this level that I'm unhappy with. Everywhere else I'm really pretty pleased with how just about everything went.
Roberto is so boring without zombie horror. Like, I remember this chapter in the past. It's just so much running around.
And I ended up having one little
Yeah, to be
shield
fair, it's boring
altar
with zombie horror too.
to spare. And that turned out to be big.
But you have to pay a
You'll see
high
why in
price
a
to
bit.
don't play Roberto.
But this horror usually doesn't
Nice.
cause me any damage, but his shock went out, and I was lucky enough to have that shield to make sure that it repelled it. Otherwise, it would have totally ruined the run.
Right now, I disagree,
always
sir,
have the shield.
just because I haven't
Awesome.
practiced it enough. I might agree if I practice more.
Yeah, I'm very happy with navigating from room to room on the way back and through the zombies and such, and going around everything in just the right way. Roberto's fairly long journey on the way forward with all the side stuff he has to do is summed up pretty quickly on the way back, and I am pleased. coming up right here with stopping to run and right in front of the ladder. Getting the character to get in just the right space to set off those like climb ladder, open door prompts, examining things and stuff. It's unfortunately really touchy, and that ending of that level is a really nice example.
Okay, so when's gonna cut this segment though? Is it inside
And
here?
that's maybe the quickest you get a page.
War to end all wars redefined how mankind.
Like maybe after the tome? Because Peter
It'll be
does
right
have some
here.
tricky stuff.
With the route I take down the very edge of the little tents and stretchers on the side and such. And start walking just in time to make sure I control myself to get the B button prompt on the little sealed envelope there. I take just enough rest a couple of times. I do drift a little bit away from where I should on the hallway to the door, but the important part is that Peter makes it, and he's very tired, so it's breathing heavily and such. And yeah, I'm happy about like all the menu interaction and stuff.
I'll be really surprised if he doesn't say here. It's such a long segment.
Tom, got it. Flashes of memory. Yep.
Well. I mean, without glitches, there's not that many risky things here at the
Did
beginning.
unfortunately have to cast Sanity Recover a couple of times to get through this part, because there was no guarantee that I wouldn't get a sanity effect going down the stairs if I had only cast one sanity effect. And it's really close, actually. An enemy nearly comes up and hits me there. Even though you can't quite see it, trust me, it's just about to happen. And I'm actually also very pleased with my navigation. The place where I choose to cast the Trapper Summon from, my running between the door and grabbing the 7 circle, coming up here and back to the wheel that opens the steam. Yeah, I think that my sort of guiding the
Oh, it might be
character around in such a
right before
controlling
spells,
game
I
is
guess.
actually really nice. Better than average for me, certainly.
Does a walking turnaround. Actually good.
Yeah, I just, after taking a long time off, it was great to get and doing the 5-point segments after that long time off, it was great to get a really, really good gameplay segment. And I think it still stands as maybe the best one in the game, certainly the best executed. And I hope you enjoyed it, and
Okay.
see you next time.
So this might
Hello,
be...
and welcome to the 10th installment of this commentary. This is the 7-point spells segment. As with the 5-point spell segment, I intended to have this combined with part 11, which, while it was short, was certainly made much more difficult. Would have been much more difficult if I had put the 7-point spells in there as well. I don't think the 7-point spell stuff went all that well, although I didn't make any mistakes. It still could be significantly faster, and I do hope that any future runner improves this point. Although I feel good about doing it in as sort of few moves, as few like scrolls around the menu as possible. At the same time, it could be more intense. So this is a functional segment, but could certainly stand improvement, and if it weren't for my fatherhood and the fact that I have responsibilities aside from getting this run as perfect as possible,
It's an item
this
too?
would certainly have been
Yeah,
better.
okay.
And I hope that
Oh yeah, because of Michael, of course.
improvement is tolerable, even if not completely awesome. But at any rate, it was done fairly quickly, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye. Hello, and welcome to a rather short segment of my speedrun, starring Peter Jacob.
So if it's short, I guess until Black Guardian, I'm assuming?
This segment was mostly pretty easy to get done. There isn't anything too difficult in terms of execution, but given where I left off and given how much of the level there was left, I did decide that I could not boost Peter's sanity any further, and that I was just going to have to deal with any sanity effects that came up along the way. And that proved to be a little bit of a pain. It took about 5 or 6 hours maybe to get a segment that was satisfactory.
Well,
Ended up continuously hitting
the bounty is
various
active.
kinds of
And the second one
sanity
too.
effects. And making some silly little mistake, but most of the time it was sanity effects.
That's the other.
Brought runs on this segment to a crashing halt.
Yeah, you can avoid those. But I remember it took me a while to figure out how to avoid those.
Although it's pretty easy, it can be fairly tricky to remember, which direction to steer in immediately after going through each door, and obviously it has to be pretty quick. So there were a lot of times when I just ended up, steering to the left instead of to the right. Dang, start over. I'm pretty pleased with getting by this Bone Thief in both directions without much of a hindrance. And I do like shooting all these trappers in fairly short order. Finally got the key.
I think he has bleeding wolves.
Onward. The end of this segment does carry over fairly importantly into the next one. Right about here, I cast the magic pool that I need for the boss fight upcoming.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
having just gone through the door, I then cast a sanity recover, so that when I cast the attack spells in the next segment, during the second wave when the zombies come out, they won't be able to stop me from casting spells. And that's the end of this segment. See you next time.
Yeah, I think I was doing that pull a little bit before. I don't remember if doing it this tight is safe. I guess we're gonna find out. It's probably alright. I guess it's alright with all strats. Like not hitting any of the orbs.
Hello, this is part 12 of my speedrun. Possibly my favorite improvement over any run I've seen, being the boss fight with Peter. I was very happy to find out that if you cast only 7-point attacks and have a magic pool going, at least most of the time during the fight, and get a little bit lucky with the third stage.
Oh, never mind.
with
This is
him
Zelda.
throwing out
Yeah,
a
of
few
course.
more attacks than usual, then you can get him in a single
Okay, so
go
7. Yeah.
in every single stage.
I don't
You'll
remember
notice I'm walking here
Spiralot
rather
use
than
7.
running to build up magic a little more quickly.
I'll check later.
It does not matter whether you sprint or you walk or you sneak even in this game. They all build up magic at the same rate. It's not the distance you cover, it's how long you hold the thumbstick. holding it just long enough to get off the second attack here. I think it's fairly cinematic having the zombie.
Alright, let's count the attacks. Alright.
Yeah, it's sort of
Two.
almost loses something in the doing, the planning and the hoping that it
Six.
would work
Unlucky.
out. Is so much more intense than actually seeing it be accomplished.
9, jeez.
But I am still very happy to see it done, and
10 attacks, that's super
just
unlucky.
one more little time saver here. I barely get this attack off in time. One more little time saver here. I run up to the edge.
The minimum is 5, if I remember
right
correctly.
in front of the stained glass window here before the attack goes off, so that I can be as close as possible to the artifact when the stage is over.
And yeah, got a magic refiller. Unavoidable glitch. Or let's just skip the fight with another glitch, I guess. What would you say is the bigger glitch on this game? Enchant cancel? You mean, like free cast? Yeah, probably. In terms of how much it changes gameplay, it's that, for sure. In terms of how much it saves time, the historically biggest one, I think it was Zombie Clip. You know, for Edward skip. And technically that saves more. I mean, well, it depends, because the other one also allows Edward skip, but you know, it was the first instance. It's just 20 minutes, right? And in terms of brokenness, maybe cuts in storage. But I don't know if it's the biggest one, because it's annoying to do, you know?
So nice to see a few characters finally live near the end of the game here. Everyone comes to such a morbid fate for the most part in the Eternal Darkness canon, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
few guys get to live to be really old, like Peter Jacob. Sure hope Lindsay's still doing well wherever he is, and Michael Edwards, despite his apparent death.
Yeah, like
To me,
all
this,
the cutscene
you know,
restore
grabbing
stuff.
the key from the dead maid here, and some of the other things in the end game sort of reek of developers didn't have time to think up one more little puzzle. And they were just like, let's give the key to the dead maid. They'll get in the basement.
He's probably right
kind
about
of an
that.
anticlimax as far as I'm concerned for all the build up to being able to go down into the basement, but it is exciting all the same when you finally get to go down there. Doing a little walking here because you will run out of breath if you run her the entire time between here and grabbing the page.
Did I use
So
a pool
tired
here
of the
back in the day?
insane
I don't
music.
remember.
So tired. This turned out to be a very long segment, the way I constructed it, but it sort of demands being that long, because really, aside from the luck you need in the boss fight, nothing else in this segment requires that much luck or excellent execution. There is one part coming up later, which I'll mention as it's happening, that requires a bit more luck than some things in this segment, but for the most part, this is really straightforward.
Yeah, you need to see this chapter with FreeCast today, though.
I must say I am still pretty pleased right here with the route I take back to the bedroom door there. I think that's pretty short, and I don't get hung up on the bed at all. I'm pretty pleased about that.
Get ready for Edward, everyone. This is a long one.
And although it's not perfect as it was at the beginning of the game, I am very happy that the clock went as well as it did here. I could have scrolled down through the text a little sooner, but I get past 3:30 before I start doing slow ticks with the D-pad, so not perfectly landing on 3:33, but still excellent. You'll notice a very studied movement right there before picking up the revolver. That's so that I get the quick cut with the camera and not the slow zoom.
So I think we're gonna go 7 revolver.
As far as I can tell, casting that 3-point reveal invisible spell is about a second faster than going ahead and just using the 7-point reveal invisible that I currently have assigned anyway. It saves.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I think this is already something kind of new. I mean, it's intended by developers, but I think Spiralot was doing a 7 spell. Or at least Mad Andy. I don't remember Spiralot. I think.
A little time. Might as well. Clouds of blood fly out of this lady. This still is very much a a game from 2002. I think that if there were a sequel made these days, a lot of these sort of suspicious.
The vampire just stopped out of the camera, by the way. Developers didn't do a whole lot of playtesting on 16 Night, I think.
It's sort of one of my proudest and least proud moments at the same time, because I steer pretty dumbly, so I have to dodge for a third time and
okay,
get back
glitch cutscene.
to shooting him.
Nice.
But I'm very happy that Spiral Out found a way to take out the first stage of the Trapper without picking up the first stage of the Vampire without having to pick up the sword first, because that would waste some time. You want to get him to appear as quickly as possible.
I think he's on SDA forums.
Run all the way over to the what room is that really? Is it a living room? The room with the piano and all that business?
I think Spiralot brought it on SDA.
At any rate, it's much better that you go ahead and use the gun. But at the same time, I had to dodge pretty stupidly away from the vampire one more time than I wanted to. But going back through the door into the library saves a little bit of time. You don't have to watch the vampires sprint all the way through the foyer back into the basement.
And now we wait.
Fidgeting a little as I try and get into the perfect spot to hit the vampire as he runs by and whenever. And at this point, of course, it doesn't really matter whether the invisible is 7 points long, because I'm going to be waiting for the vampire to come out anyway. Fidget a little more. Finally, he appears, and bye-bye.
Yeah, this looks very similar to what we were doing. Like, this kind of was the standard.
I hope that future runs will be able to utilize some sort of major skip or glitch. Maybe it would be great to get down into the basement before you have to wait through all this business. This is one of my least entertaining in-between sessions here. I only spun around a little bit. I didn't
we really have to try
and do anything really fun. I just wanted the
either 100% or individual level to
not
scope
really in the mood
now.
to do anything but walk around a little bit.
So he can watch the new Edward stuff.
So here we are, in front of the door, having cast Reveal Invisible once again, waiting, 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 waiting.
He's not using Uilnslcoap, which is better.
Ah, there he is. I don't know if it saves, a ton of time, but I do cast the enchant item on the sword, the 7-point enchant,
Yeah, it does.
after doing the reveal invisible and the shield and all that business, just because I want to only have to enchant it once. Certainly not after we're on a... Once we have both halves of the key, we're back on the clock again, because we can make progress. So we wouldn't want to cast again at that point. That's a fairly quick destruction of his little pillar of power right there.
Yeah,
as far
no
as I
auto
can tell,
cancels.
swinging body blows is a little
really
faster
weird.
than overhead hacks at the head. And I also used the from earlier, the 3-point enchant on the key, because I believe it's a little faster than just using the 7-point enchant from the quick spell. Despite having to access the menu.
I guess Spirala didn't share that
Careful
knowledge.
viewers will note that I have some bullets left over at the end of this chapter. I load it with as many bullets as I might need. I only definitely need 2, but very often a couple of other trappers get just in the way, and I want to be sure that I have something for them. Plus, it gives me, by loading those extra bullets, it gives me a little more time to sprint inside past the horrors and then cast the cool spell.
Yeah, probably.
First of them, once I'm actually inside Enga proper.
Like, it's funny, I was doing auto cancels casually, you know? That was always something natural to me.
Let's him rest up for a second.
Like, before even speedrunning this game. Not as good as today, of course.
Second one,
but I kinda remember that feeling
going
of
clockwise around it from your starting point.
Similar to El Cancel melee.
Because it's one of the runes that you actually have to change, and it's easiest to remember that if it's one of the first ones there. Switch to area real quick. But also because even though I left the riskiest ones for the next segment, this one is definitely the riskiest one that I do in this segment of the 9 little rooms that you teleport to. Of the ones I do in this segment, this one is the most dangerous because you can easily get trappered right here if you get bad enemy position lock. Really frustrating to get like 12 minutes deep and then have the run ruined over something like that. It did happen a couple of times. But there you are. You take the risks you have to. It's not that dangerous compared to some of the rooms, but it is still risky. Oh, ran into the side of the machine.
Give me a second here.
But there you are. In this segment, this one is the most dangerous.
So you get out of this room.
Enemy position lock. Really frustrating to get like 12.
So there is no shield on this gate right here.
And then have the run ruined.
But then after the lever.
But there you are. You take the risks you have to.
There is. Is that normal? Like, does the lever, like, put a shield on the old gate? I don't think I ever pay attention to that. Yeah, I've never paid attention. Because I think on 4.3, you probably don't see that. Right? When you're running here. I guess we need to check later.
Oh, man.
It might be just a glitch.
Side of the machine there. That's kind of ugly and amateurish, but it's such a long segment that a mistake of that nature, I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about it.
Well, we're back here. I don't know if we're gonna see it again from this angle. Yeah, look at that. It might be a glitch. Because there
Sorry
was
if you
no
can
barrier
hear
there.
any background fan noise right now, sort of moving air. My son is currently napping, and it's, I think, easiest for him to stay asleep if there's a little white noise going. So if you hear that in the background, my apologies. I hope that my voice gets over that satisfactorily. I'll listen to this afterward just to make sure there's no real horrible technical difficulties.
Yeah, don't worry, Devin. I actually filtered the noise when I edited this video. When I put all the parts together, I put it on Audacity and I got rid of the noise.
Alex's chapter proper in Enga, which requires a lot of strategy in terms of when you want to use certain, like, you know, the magic pool and the shields and all the different spells and assigns and casts that you have to do throughout that level. Unlike that level, this level really doesn't require a terrific amount of strategy. This one is much more sort of player preference as far as what order you want to tackle the rooms in and how you want to get the job done.
Yeah. Again, maybe it was because...
Well, we're in a level that involves
4-3.
a ton of sprinting and using the pool spell to do so.
Like,
I did not know that the health pool spell gave you infinite run until just before I saw Spiral Out's run. Which, if I had seen it in Spiral Out's run, I think it would have just blown my mind. But I learned it on Game Facts from the message boards there. Someone sort of casually mentioned that the health pool gives you infinite run, and I couldn't believe it. I tried it out at home. It was true. I was so excited. It gave me yet another reason when I learned that. I'd been thinking about it before anyway, but when I learned that I wouldn't have the headache of managing all the sprinting business, trying to make sure that the character didn't get too tired and stuff. Oh, I go the wrong direction there. That looks really silly.
yeah, especially for Edward. Like, I remember Matt Andy's segment. By the way, sir, he went number 2 first, not number 1 later. The thing is, I think if you activate the lever and go to the exit immediately, I had the feeling that in 3-4, the camera doesn't have enough room to show, you know, the other gate, you know? So just like Philip Augustine being outside of camera, not doing anything, just like the vampire right here, also not doing anything out of camera on 16.9. I think developers didn't do a whole lot of playtesting on 16.9. Isn't it just to prevent players going the wrong way? I guess it could be, but it's weird because, I mean, we just never noticed it before. Signposting,
when I learned
it could
that,
be.
Not only would I...
But then later, number 1, it's not there. So they can go wrong on that way too, later. Or before, I guess. Because number 1 can be before. I don't think it's intentional. I also don't think it's intentional. But leaving the room and re-enter would make it disappear, most likely.
Not have to manage characters' virtual lung capacity, but that I'd have that much more possible improvement on the old SDA run. I was very excited.
Yeah, Spiral Out saved several minutes from this segment just because of the pool. And Spiral Out didn't get the pool on Paul, I think.
But really, this area, the whole Edward
But
bit,
Uilnslcoap got it on Paul.
the non-challenging, non-risky rooms especially, it's very rote. Like, you know, just run, pool spell when you have to, run, hit a switch, light up a room, run, you know. You do want to be sure that you're close by when you're actually selecting the room or lighting up the room. Anyway, in the case of the Pargons, you want to be sure that you're close to the trigger, and that when you press B and A subsequently, that you're actually going to select a room and not accidentally shoot the revolver, which did happen to me a few times, both as Edward and Alex. That was frustrating.
Yeah, me too.
Horror cast.
It still happens to me
attack.
from time to time.
Guardian does the
Although, to me, it happens because sometimes I get confused just by muscle memory, because when you punch doors, you go from A to B, but on this thing, you have to examine and then press A, so you go from B to A. So sometimes I get muscle memory mixed, and I try to do a punching door on that rune, and that's when I shoot.
Oh, it all just seems so silly. Can't get anything done.
So I'm interested in number 8 and number 9.
For a
In
shot
what
fired
order?
for some time since the vampire. That must have been 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, probably more than that.
We're going to the last teleport that we're going to do in this segment. I listened to what spell was going off before casting the pool there, because if it had been an attack, I think it wouldn't have worked. And that was awfully close right there with the horror.
Is this the second pool?
Really was scared at the time that he was actually going to hit me.
Onenga? I think it is. Okay, 9 first. That's good. If he does a
2
magical
nights
attack.
before I finally recorded this, I got one that was about 10 seconds slower and really thought I would submit it, but I decided in the end it wasn't good enough, and I'm really glad I stuck it out, because 10-second improvement is very significant.
136.42. Okay.
And here we are, at the end of this segment. See y'all soon. Hello, and welcome to part 13 of this Eternal Darkness speedrun.
Having some Michael practice segments
This is
there.
probably, in all honesty, my least favorite segment of the entire run.
I guess this is
the,
up to Michael then.
The Edward running around the city stuff isn't that exciting after a while. Although I do one cool thing coming up here, but you may not be able even to see it very well if you don't know it's there. But I managed to run between the damage field around the Guardian here. They take just enough energy from me to not let me sprint for a second after I get it back. But yeah, running between the damage field and the wall just there without being able to actually see it is very tricky. And even going on the way out without being hung up on a wall or something is
I think this is
pretty
new.
nice. Not
Almost
something you
sure
might notice
Spirala
since it
didn't
seems
do
to
that.
go so smoothly, I think, here, but something definitely
Yeah.
that was tough to accomplish, but that's why it's at the beginning of the second. And I do like how I'm running up to the damage field right as that dispel goes off. But then it gets dull again for a while. Edward runs around chambers down some more hallways.
So yeah, it's better to do 9 before 8
I will say
if you're
that
doing a
at
magical
least,
attack.
Although I was really annoyed by this poor living the entire time, that him taking a swipe at me just then and coming so close to hitting me does add some tension, at least, to the action.
Yeah, another thing about 16.9, you can see the end of the skybox or the cave box on the corner. There is a lot of like funny stuff.
I think all of
I never
the
noticed.
the interactions with little objects is one of the, besides the menus and all the like spell creation and assigning and inventory usage, that all the having to memorize whether to press, BA or BAB or BAA or B scroll downward A or B A scroll downward B.
I feel you.
It's just a frustrating part of running this game. I think definitely a big detraction from certainly why a single segment run would be pretty annoying to have to like put it all together every time. All these like little tiny B A B distinctions are hard enough to do in a segment.
Relatable.
So be hard pressed.
It is honestly one of the hardest part to optimize.
The entire game.
Just like get used to it.
And wait for all the runes, wait for all the runes, wait for all the runes, wait for all the runes.
Alright. Almost done. And number 8 for the end, which is good, because it's closer to the entrance.
Although I did make a couple of mistakes in this segment, on the whole I'm very pleased with how it went. I'd say if I were to ever do this run again, one thing I would change is I would make all but one rune in the big giant circle in the central chamber where you teleport out from. I would activate 8 of them in the Peter boss fight segment, going all the way up to having 8 runes done. It would make it maybe a 21 or 22, 22 and a half, 23, I don't know, something like that segment. And I still think that it would be better, because the problem with this segment is that the only tricky or reliant on luck part comes in the middle with Alex, and that is that you're hoping to avoid a sanity effect for one thing, but there's also one thing where enemy positioning can screw you. If the trapper is in the wrong place, you're going to get trappered, teleported, no matter what, and it's just kind of a bite, but you deal with it, and one time you get a really good one. Man, running Alex out of that hallway
So,
again and again.
is he gonna use the revolver for the trapper then? Yeah, they got me a sanity effect there.
I have run Alex out of that study. Come to think of it. Oh, I make a little mistake there. Trying to pick up the pickaxe in as few steps as possible. I end up a little short and have to press a little further after stopping. But that's okay. It went alright. Besides that, so that I'm not too fussed about losing a second there. This is where the pickaxe usage to bust into the max murder room disarms the revolver I equipped so long ago, and I have to equip it again right there before we can move on to the spell business. Which is handled fairly quickly and easily. I'm pleased with how she walks into the barrier right there. Could have been a little sooner, but you want to be at least a little careful. And right here is the best part.
Yeah, that's tight.
Don't get hit by that bone thief and shoot the...
More than tight, there's a big like RNG thing there, I think. Because I think that I don't actually know what triggers that trapper being on one place or another, but I've seen that trapper in a way different position. And actually I remember when I was doing this part way back then, I always got caught by trapper, so that's why I started doing a magical attack there instead, which is slower, but like way safer. He also moves the bone thieves out of the way.
Trapper. it's just a matter of a second when in the actual run, but it's definitely the climax of it for me, knowing how much was riding on the line there. And I actually think this save
It is
goes
hard
really well
with
too.
the revolver. Does he prevent the bounty burrow with the shooting animation? Wait, when? Where?
Short revolver I equipped when in the actual bit. How she walks into the barrier right there. Could have been a little sooner, but you want to be at least a little careful. And right here is the best part.
I don't know. Maybe?
Don't get
I guess it is worth checking later on emulator. I kind of had the feeling that it might have been just the angle, but maybe.
went in the actual run, but it's definitely the climax of it for me, knowing how much was riding on the line there. And I actually think this save goes really well too.
We have to put that on the to-do list after the run. Also checking on the barrier of Enga. And what else? I want to check a couple things on Spiraloud. On the speedrun timeline. Like auto cancels.
Wherever disaster and death lurk, there is like...
The rest of this is
Michael
just getting Michael up to a point where I wanted to be able to save, because there was a lot of risky stuff coming after that. I do have to say, though, that I think that most of the steering I do through here is pretty good, with one exception, actually, that's coming up right here. When I go around that zombie right there, I don't think it looks very good. Well, the way I get just to the corner of the ladder here and go back down into that hallway is I think, pretty nice. These trappers actually aren't that dangerous compared to a lot of them in the game. There's not a very high likelihood as long as you play smart that they get you. I think the run in and out of this room is pretty good in terms of getting around
No
the
fast pickup?
zombie pile-up problems that could come. Not too risky though, as long as you're doing it fairly quickly. And we finally come to it, and the next segment's a big one. A risky one, because I didn't pick up the weapons yet. See you next time.
Yeah, this is
Hello, and welcome to
RNG
part
City.
14 of my Eternal Darkness speedrun. Michael.
Unless he does like
I like Michael because he can actually run
like a full segment for just the horrors. I don't know. We'll see.
without having to have the what would they call them? Performance enhancing spells, perhaps, that the other characters get. This really is not a good light puzzle. Everything else in the level went well enough that I had to kind of ignore that a little bit, but it isn't good. Still, I must say, if you haven't played this game in a while, or even then, if you have played it recently, go back and play this light puzzle and tell me that the controls are easy and responsive. And then maybe we can talk about criticizing me for that light puzzle. I actually like my spell assigns right here, the magic pool and the bind, for being relatively speedy for once. I think that as I've said before, I think that my menu business could be better in general, but that there it actually went well for once. Running past these trappers, I think I did get trappered a couple, 3 times maybe in that area. But nothing too much to complain about. Sanity effects were also a problem in this level sometimes.
Yeah, after 1 minute mark, you can get sanity effects.
Not so much in Edward's chapter. It's very long, but really not very many sanity effects at all.
This used to be the standard rod for a while, using a 7 Uilnslcoap.
Not getting spotted by the horror or zombie a couple of rooms ago turned out to be big because I barely had enough health at the end of the level left to sprint.
This is an interesting position for a trapper.
Occasionally with this trapper summon, a zombie will be standing in just the right place that the trapper actually gets spawned right next to the little stand or weight that he has to teleport out of the way there. This sanity effect is unavoidable. But unfortunately I didn't have that luck with the trapper. I run in place for a minute, spin around sort of with those two trappers right there because I want them both to go off to use their teleportation and so not be a hassle when I run back through the room the next time.
Okay,
Walk
bind
in there
time.
to generate magic a little bit. Need a little bit more than even a 7-point pool can provide. Although actually the pool spells do not regenerate magic or sanity or health at a faster rate. The more powerful the spell is, it just lasts longer. This is unlike actually.
Okay, that was about 11 second, so that's pretty good. Like, that's fine for a segmented. I mean, I would probably go for an insta-kill on a segmented, but I wouldn't do a segmented, actually. If I would do one, I would do it, but I won't.
Which are actually more powerful in addition to lasting longer or being bigger. 7-point enchants will kill enemies faster than 3-point enchants, and a 7-point shield will stand up to more damage, like per little ball or fairy light or whatever it is that's traveling around you. Each little ball takes more damage when it's a 7 shield than when it's a 5 shield or such.
Okay, are we gonna see 2 5 shields then?
Mixing the detonator caps and the C4, the plastic explosive that is here, did not go very well. For whatever reason, it thought I was pressing up when I was pressing across, so thanks a lot, Eternal Darkness Williams, for continuing to make me look so good. This is a pretty quick load into that room right there. That's pretty crazy. From the little electric yellow floor hallway into the worm room where you set the bomb. Luckily, holding down the to scroll through the text is the exact direction Michael wants to go.
Yeah, 2 shields. Also, no pool.
And I do get one more shield up here because I need it to avoid having my health get so drained that I can't actually run anymore. As I said before, it was a very close call that I even made it through this level. I thought that the last health drain of the final horror in this level was going to get me. Interesting fact, sometimes those little miniature Mantarok zombies I just ran past one room ago, sometimes they take away sanity, but most of the time they don't. Very odd. Very odd little thing there. I don't know why it happens like that, but it does.
Okay, I don't think that's true. It could be a glitch. I've never seen it. I think he might be confused because there is one big one on the room, and that one can look at you like before, you know, and give you the impression that it was one of the small ones. You know? That's my guess. But it could be an undocumented glitch. But I don't know.
So I'm now finally out of shield and my health drained, and I can still run. And
the worms just vibe, yeah.
I breathe easy. I do believe if one more enemy had spotted me on the way, which was definitely possible, that I would not have been able to continue sprinting.
2 minutes until destination.
Nearly make it out with over 2 minutes to go on the countdown, but definitely a good, very good.
I think we never hear 2 minutes now.
Go with that level.
With current strats.
I think it looks really fun.
So something funny, no, about it. When I was young, or not even that young, but before speedrunning this game, I always remember having a lot of fear to the worms. like, because they're so weird, you know, and so different from everything else, and kind of related to Mantork. I always thought that if you don't kill them fast enough, you will get like some kind of insta kill, you know. So I'll always just kill them immediately. So it was so funny to then discover that if you don't kill them, they don't actually do anything.
Despite a couple of definite.
I mean, they
issues
drain
along the way.
sanity, and later that's health, but still, it's like so slow.
Magnetic beam of light finally appears.
But for a while, I thought it was
And,
like
we'll see
an
you for
insta kill
that
or
and all
something
the glory
that it would
follows
trigger
next time.
after like a little bit.
Hello, and welcome to the penultimate segment, part 15.
Nice.
Starring finally only Alex Roivas.
Here we go,
I was
Enga
both
again.
excited and very nervous about sort of attacking this chapter in the way that I had attacked all the others. Nice dodges past the zombies there, just to start.
So weird to see
Um,
zombies here.
In that I thought there isn't too much randomness, although there is one really big bit that I did not account for that turned out to be quite a pain.
Bind?
But mostly it's just doing the execution correctly. This light puzzle, unfortunately, I had to make one more adjustment than I wanted to on each of the first two mirrors, but then on that last one it came straight down onto it, and I think that makes up for it slightly. Most of the time you have to move it to the right a little bit to hit the little mark on the globe, but this time it just went right onto it. But yes, I thought it was going to be so complicated spell-wise in terms of when to assign what, when to cast what, which room to visit first, given that all the shields had to be efficient, that you didn't want to use one too many shields. The fewest I could find to use was 7. It's the same number that Spiral Out used. He somehow used only 1 health pool, and I used 2. But I also
I use 0.
end the segment without a shield, which you have to do. You can't have a shield or a pool or an enchant active going into the fight with Pius, or else he'll immediately cast a disenchant.
But I think I would still use the same amount
Some
of
of the
shields.
spell assigning and casting that we're seeing just now, I admit that in this level I think that suffers a little bit. This was after all night. I was, doing the inputs as well as I could still. And it just went so much better than it ever had before. That was very gratifying. But the spell casting could be better in this segment, but it's still a really fun run.
So yeah, routing Alex Enga is actually pretty hard.
And like the great run of luck on the electric floor began, it's sort of random as far as I can tell when it will first shock you. It might be instantly when you touch the yellow, or it might be quite a bit further down the runway. This one was pretty good in terms of how late I got shocked.
Is that
although
war
I
timer,
still got shocked
sir?
11 times on the way to the
Like,
door, which is typical.
When you get the first shock?
That leaves 3 shocks for the 8th one in the circle. If you
Okay.
start at the character point and count around clockwise, the 8th one is the first teleport that I will take. I did occasionally forget to mix the pedestal halves, or forget that I had to enchant them for some reason. Just try and use the 2 broken halves on the little receptacle right there. So that made me feel very silly to have gotten 3.5 minutes deep, and dang, you made a really dumb mistake. Do it again. But you learn to deal with that when you're a speedrunner. You have to be able to
Look at that, number 8 first.
shake that off.
Just like today. Just, so the idea is the same, to get rid
It
of
also helps that
the shields.
I do one of the
Nice.
the rune spires, the ones you have to actually change this one to summon. I did carefully think about how much the character would be able to sprint, so I wanted them to be able to cast a lot of spells. I wanted Alex to be able to cast spells at just the right time to give her more time to breathe, such as right after this shield disperses, which is why I chose this room next. One of a couple of options. The other one was the summoned creature room. That also takes 3 shocks to disperse your shield, so that's the other one I could have used after crossing the floor into this central chamber the first time.
Okay, so here's the thing. So yeah, you can. The idea on Alex is to use spells to save stamina. We're talking about before free cast, when you actually had to stop during the spells. Here, what you can do is you can use these shields for another room instead of just casting another shield immediately. Do you notice that Alex's head turned for a few frames during the package delivery? Yeah. I was thinking also during the package delivery that Alex was animated. Is that normal? Because the zombies are frozen during that cutscene, and also like spells get cancelled. It's normal that it's animated, okay, but yeah, it did turn the head, yeah.
One turned out to be better for me.
Maybe bleeding walls.
Very happy I didn't
If it's normal that it's animated, it could have been bleeding walls.
mess up running either around the wheel or down the middle of it to get to each rune properly. Over all that time, it can be easy to lose your concentration on like which room you're doing next and how you have to best circle the environment to get there.
Yeah. I still have
I think this looks pretty good. I run just a ways
run.
onto the little purple, pink, whatever it is, floor there, and run off of it while still on the purple as well. And I think that looks pretty fun.
Yeah, so the next improvement on that, so all the segmented people were doing full sneak. I don't remember if Swiken was doing full sneak too. But I think I implemented the sneak run, and then user implemented the like target running, which is the best one.
That one was really close. I have to only get 5 shocks, and I nearly got shocked a 6th time during that trip, and that usually means that I won't be able to make it across the floor after the bind room. And that means I have to start over. Getting shocked at just the wrong time proved to be a very frustrating aspect of doing this segment.
This is number 4.
I do think the results speak for themselves.
That's a very early pool. Oh no, it's number 3. Okay.
Although I am, of course, speaking for them.
So where's the trapper?
This is one of my favorite things about this run, or at least this segment. Just figuring out where exactly I could best summon these guys from, and this spot worked well because I didn't have to move between the trapper and the zombie to have them both very near their teleport areas.
Yeah, that was the standard for a while.
One of the biggest improvements I threw in on this chapter, and probably pretty much the only reason it's faster than Spiral Outs, or just about the only reason.
Yeah, it's a much better spot. I think Spiral Out got it like super far away, the zombie. And then later we got a different strat.
Pretty perfect
for the zombie.
Timing there,
to get a teleport
when to
cancel.
stop running and when to start walking to be able to generate enough magic to get that horror out here. And, yeah, I barely had enough, so that was good. I have sometimes not stopped in time and tried to cast and not have enough magic, and that's embarrassing.
And this
That's
teleport
really
cancel,
good right there,
I don't
too,
remember if
because
Sparlock
I'm
got
actually
it.
standing on its teleport point, which means it doesn't have to walk to the middle of the circle, unlike the zombie and the trapper, to get teleported, I guess so that the horror doesn't clip into Alex, because she's standing in the teleport circle.
Yeah.
From the, that's, I guess, the
Today we
solution
watch a
the programmers
cutscene
had.
on that room.
3 shocks there, perfect. Is to make sure that the monster didn't clip into Alex when she was standing in the circle.
That thing says like an
just
entire minute.
instantly got teleported.
It's crazy.
It was right at the side.
Like, Sir discovered that like a little bit after Zombie Clip, and I remember getting like I got a decent, not great but decent run with Zombie Clip. Then Sir discovered this, and I got a PV immediately after that, just because of the 3 minute.
And I like how the magic is building up to just the right point again, to full right as I need it a couple of times, like for the monster summons and for the bind room here. It's just nice, sort of everything in synchronous harmonicity, or whatever it is that Edward says in the final cutscene.
Let's see how good this fight. That's pretty good. Now what about the second?
And that was lucky right there.
Yep.
That's as far as I can
That's
tell
good.
the fastest that the horrors can die in the bind room, and it can take a really long time. It can take like, 20 more seconds than that. So I got lucky, and I had enough shield left to be able to cross this floor and start the second set of spell assign.
Alright, this pool is
Which
an
again,
interesting
maybe
pool.
could be quicker, but they're at least mistake-free.
Oh, and it does it there
Just
too.
cast a shield.
Like, especially there is not necessary because you just did a shield, so you're full stamina here.
And now I'm casting a pool spell to finally be able to run after generating all that magic for a long time. I only got shocked 9 times, so I'm not going to cast the shield spell immediately again because I have enough to get back to the central chamber from the next room I'm teleporting to. If I had gotten shocked 10 times, I have to shield here instead of later. But
Okay, so here's the thing. So Uilnslcoap got the right idea mostly, because the idea is that you get 10, you get 14 shields per shield, 7 shield, and then you can get 10 on or 9 on the long trips, and on the short trips you can get 4 or 5. So actually it adds up to 14 most of the time. Sometimes it's like 15, but also sometimes it's 13. And so it's still not worth it to cast an entire 7 shield extra, to fucked up your route. Because if you get hit once or even twice, it's definitely not the 5 seconds of an extra spell.
either way, I cast exactly 7 shields.
But it wasn't on the right path.
It's just that
Thinking
if
at
I have
least.
to cast now, I have to make it through the next 2 rooms over the central chamber without having to cast shield again, instead of having a little bit more room for error. Sometimes I end up having to shoot that trapper, which is one of the reasons I have bullets left over at the end of this, which is the reason I have bullets left over at the end of this
Yeah,
segment.
and here, for example, that's another spell where you
'Cause
recover
sometimes I have to
stamina.
shoot that guy, but
That's
most
another
of the
reason why
time
you don't need a
I
bolt
cast-
here.
So I barely make it back to the central chamber with my shield fully dispersed.
So which one? Number 6? Yeah, because of the reveal.
Earlier I cast Reveal Invisible to get past a floor that is otherwise untraversable. You have to run up those stairs a little bit to shoot that trapper, or else you risk shooting right into the side of the stairs.
Yeah.
But I cast Reveal Invisible earlier, and that's relevant for these trappers here, because not only are you able to immediately attack them, if you are using the Reveal Invisible spell, it also avoids a very lengthy cutscene of watching the trappers become invisible. So that's
Yes, indeed,
definitely, you
Solera.
have to do the 2 invisible bursts
It's movie night.
back to back, and make sure you don't have to cast the spell more than once. Here I'm casting the second of the 2 pool spells, even though mine hasn't worn off. I need to cast it here so that it runs out before I make it back to the central chamber for the last time.
Yeah, instead you can cast the shields there, and then you have enough
Since
stamina.
I need to not have any spells active for the pious fight.
Now the benefit of this is that he will get full health for Pious. So that's kind of cool. Although I think you can do that with just a 3 pull, which is what we do today.
Up until the final night I was doing runs of this level, I didn't have
This chair.
the 7-point attack set on quick spell, but I did realize that since I was already in the spell menu and could only go back a couple of steps anyway to immediately assign that spell at a different power level, that is, I was assigning both 3-point attack and 7-point attack, that it was efficient for me to assign it at that point. And I think that might affect a couple of things that I do in terms of spell assignments if I were to do this run again earlier in the run. But I think for the most part, I still would have the same plan. So I use the 7-point attack that I've been efficiently able to assign to quick spell.
I already watched the episode though. Like just before the stream, actually, during dinner.
This room was cleared of trappers earlier when I came in from the opposite side and used the attack then.
So what's left?
And now I am about to cast my last shield. The hope is that I will have just enough shield to make it past the next 2 rooms without having to
1 and 5, okay.
get shocked by the floor or cast shield again.
Yeah, pretty much, Solera.
Even though I might consider using magic attack next time instead of grabbing the bullets, I do think it looks very cool in, like, Old West that Alex shoots those 3 trappers.
Hang on.
Shocked by the floor or cast shield again. Even though I might consider using magic attack next time instead of grabbing the bullets, I do think
He's
it
doing
looks
other
very
cancels
cool in,
here.
like, Old West that Alex shoots those 3 trappers. And I
mean,
think it looks pretty
It's
fast.
different enemies, so maybe it's more intuitive to do it here, that when it is the same enemy, just different attacks on the same enemy.
At this point, all the
But those
rooms
were
have been
attack
cleared
cancels.
of their obstacles, and it's really just a sprint.
Yeah.
Right after the last 7-point
Planning on moving anyway,
attack.
exactly.
It's just onward to the finish line. As long as I don't make any dumb mistakes, run into any walls, go around the wrong way to activate a rune spire.
It's just funny because it's like so close to.
I have to say
figuring it
at
out.
this point that some of the lengthy in-game cutscenes here got on my nerves so much. I wonder how much of the run is just watching and not being able to do anything.
Oh, I can tell you exactly how much it is. I have a video about it. It's called No Gameplay.
And finally, I assign the 2 levels of enchant that I need for the final battle with Pious here. Because I don't want to have to dip into the spell menu twice, and because I'd rather do it here than during the fight with Pious, because I want to immediately be able to enchant my weapon again once I'm back fighting Pious in the next segment. But really, I'm so happy even though I'm about to get shocked here and that looks a bit ugly, but I almost make it. And sometimes I did make it, but not this time. Even though I get shocked here, I'm very happy with how the route went in this segment, and I think I did a good job of putting it together. And I look forward to seeing if anyone has an idea for improvement. See you next time.
Alright, 2 hours 7, was it? 7 something? Give me 1 second. Alright, so... so, my run, I think it was my first world record. That was 2 hours 10 minutes. 57 of those minutes were cutscenes. So it's less than 50%. Like 40 something, I guess. And that's like the same route,
and welcome
basically.
To the final segment of my speedrun. The main event.
Well, actually, it might have some skips. I don't know if that. No, actually, no. I don't think my record has like earn skip. My first record. I don't remember.
Alex versus Pius.
I can check
The
later.
Savior versus the Lich.
All of that is on the timeline, actually. Now the showdown, the final showdown.
The cutscenes. Sometimes I would have really silly mental lapses and forget that I had to, mash pause right after this loading screen, for instance. Which I hope these the Darkness Comes loading screens won't be counted in the final time. But yeah, sometimes I would forget that I still had to keep mashing start until I finally saw the Zelotov Essence pop up right here. And I could wait for,
SDA timing.
10 more seconds for it to finally give me control. But here, not a quick enchant. The camera got a little far from Pius before I could get the enchant off. But yeah, only need a 3 enchant to hit Pius and to damage the idol as much as possible.
Alright, let's see Pius fight.
This is really not a very good sort of first 3 hits on the idol. Pretty typical, even like maybe slightly subpar run because of the second idol appearance all the way at the bottom of the screen and me like looking around for it. The controls here with Elia also aren't great, like sort of turning out of that last turn is just one more reminder about how the camera and controls kind of stink in this game.
We do it with Sneak today.
This stage goes pretty
helps
well,
a little
not
bit,
getting hit there.
but it sucks still.
Transforming from Elia into Alex and hitting Pius again is not bad. I do run a little bit past the essence a couple of times because my brain is just catching up with my eyes.
Maybe fast. Oh, that.
And I can't. I just
like with luck that could have been a fast
artifact. Set of reflexes as some people might. And this is really the worst running so far past to this Kareem. It's not really acceptable, but for how well one thing.
I think all of them are gonna be long.
And the problem is that what was otherwise like not that great a run, including getting hit here, including running toward him instead of running back toward the essence like I finally did here, including swinging the sword here, the like just series of mistakes is all made up for by this.
Okay, one fast because of the series of
and I ran
unfortunate
around
events.
him wrong. Not intending to, I should have just hit him again immediately when I transformed into Alex, but I believe accidentally running the wrong way, not getting hit by his attack, and making the idol appear again in the middle of that half of the chamber all worked to my advantage. So my mistakes, in some ways not only
shotgun
helped this run, they sort of made it possible.
Enchanted
I
shotgun.
must say, as a Harry Potter geek,
7.
That makes me happy that
yeah.
Alex
That was the
uses
standard for a while.
Gryffindor colors and Pius Slytherin colors when you choose the Zelotop line.
Nice.
And I just like how quickly he's dead. I think that looks super cool. Just Alex busting out a 7-point enchanted shotgun and really giving it to him.
You're probably right about that,
And the
sir.
final bit of gameplay for some reason is selecting the Protect room.
Yeah, it could have been the lag of the TV.
Send to Chaturga on his merry way.
GG's.
And we're finally actually watching a cutscene that we don't have to watch at this point after I've selected a Protect room. That's it. There is no more gameplay. I feel like where I can get the story in, it should be kept in, because that's really what this game is about. Even though I really love the gameplay, a lot of aspects of it, I think that it should be remembered foremost as an excellent venture into video game storytelling for being almost 10 years old at the point when I say these words.
Yeah, this run is almost 10 years old now.
Not pretty touching.
Like
goodbye
9.5.
from Edward to Alex. Really not bad. The voice acting and writing sort of shines once again, even if it is a little florid. The prose sometimes still a very good textual piece in a lot of ways.
Many others like me, in other places, other universes, fighting the same fight.
I'd like to thank you so much for joining me on this run and hopefully enjoying this commentary. I hope I came off as, sort of enthusiastic and excited about future ventures for this project, more than I was, nerdy and geeky and lectury. But I really had fun doing this. I've never done a speedrun before, not to the extent that I really tried to make this one as good as I could, given the time I had. But I really had fun doing it. I'm sort of think of this as like my last vanity project as I go into real adulthood. I turned 30 doing the recording the segments for this game, and I had a child not so very long ago, and I figure this is sort of my last little venture into early adulthood or late childhood, and that it's time to move on from here. But I really enjoyed being able to do this one time, and I hope everybody got a little fun out of this, and that someone wants to do better, that there are things that could certainly improve. One thing that I'll say here that I haven't said anywhere else is that I think you could cast a 7-point enchant on the shotgun during the Pius fight, during the part before the essence is destroyed, and maybe you'd be able to kill Pius in only 3 or 4 shots before he was even able to get up his shield or his damage field. And that
You were so close to figure out that strat. Yeah, that strat's better.
that might be a little quicker. Might be a way of getting
It's way faster.
through this game a little bit faster. I hope you enjoyed. Let's zoom into Man Turok's anus mouth, and I'll say goodbye and leave you to the credits. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you, Devin. This was his first speedrun. That's pretty good. I don't know if there's commentary in the credits. I might shut up if we hear commentary. But yeah, that was good. There's some things to unpack. There's some things to review because of the 9.16, 16.9 thingy. I want to check on some spiral out stuff. Shit. Just in terms of the timeline. He started another segmented run but didn't finish it. Yes, indeed. Indeed, it wasn't the end. He got until Kareem, I think. like Kareem Part and 2. I do remember those, and I actually watched those, and I remember the Korean segment having the cutscene merch, for example, stuff like that. But yeah, probably like run out of time or something, like other responsibilities, etc. It does take a lot of time. Even while, like, that's the thing about segmented. You might not take, 2 hours or 4 hours straight of attempts. Like, you might take half an hour per day or so, but it adds up because it's several halves an hour per segment. So it's still a lot of time, a lot of effort. And yeah, overall, it's a good run. Let me tell you the time. There's 2 times for this run that I like to call. We already saw one, so give me 1 second. So SDA timing is 2 hours 8:43. Now SDA timing, we don't actually know how it's measured. I don't think there's any details. I tried to look for them, but didn't find the exact details. They seem to discount a lot of loading times and all those things, even while, the in-game time still runs on loading times. Spiral actually talked about this on just the comments of his video. And yeah, so that's the SDA timing. What you can call the Uilnslcoap timing, himself giving the timing of the run. Let's see. Maybe it's at the end. I mean, I already know. I just wanted to see the writing on it. Yeah, but basically he timed it just adding to the in-game time the last segment, and with that it's a 2 hour 11:06. So that would be like speedrun.com timing if you want. So that's still faster than Swiken run, like the best record from Swiken. The Swiken run was 2 hours 12, right? Like 12:50 something. And then my PB after that was like 2 hours 10, I think. I've seen the details before. I know there's a penalty for each segment break. Oh, interesting. That's really interesting. But yeah, the thing is, like, even with that penalty, they discount a big chunk of the run. It's crazy. Because again, it's at 2 hours 11, and SDA says it's a 2 hour 8:43, So it cut more than 2 minutes from the run out of loading times. It's quite a lot. So yeah, I have no idea how it works. But yeah, that's pretty good. Again, thank you, Devin, for doing this run. It stood as the route for, I guess, a lot of years. Like so I can run with this route. Uilnslcoap did some changes because of Oyaf, but Swiken was pretty much this route, and that was like up to 2014. Then later Uilnslcoap on 2018, and then we started seeing some changes. I guess there was some because you did some changes before that didn't make it into like finish runs. I guess some of the Uilnslcoap probably, like sneaking, I would assume, because there was more stuff, but I don't know if they implemented on runs. Dogs. Alright, so hang on. Let's capture this. So let me sneeze first. Give me a second. God. Alright, so add to cancel. Spiral out. Optimization. 2010. Right here. Segment 2. Look at that. Pretty unoptimal, but but that was a clear add to cancel. On the arms. And there's another one on Paul. I do remember the Paul fight against Anthony too on this run. So that's one check. There was another one. Well, I probably need to rewatch this to see the new stuff here. Yeah, okay, so here it is. Flintlock, pistol, route for max. SDA. Because you have a lot of time, spell assignment, you can faster, so assignment you can. No, it's not that one. I think it's this one. Here. I decided to enchant this pistol in a way to go max chapter, yeah. Shotgun for Pious fight, yeah. There you go. Also on SDA. Nice. So I already got some stuff. Oh, look at this, look at this. Hang on. You can re-aim the fire revolver just by releasing and then repulling our trigger. For the shotgun, you have to move, even just slightly, to interrupt the shotgun cocking animation after each shot. That's at a cancel, my friend. Uilnslcoap figured it out for range weapons, but not for melee weapons. So I think the ones on the trappers were on purpose. Because he's actually talking about this with the revolver. Do you have the glitch early vampire cutscene listed? Probably not. Probably not. Vampire. This is phase 1 with revolver was spiral out idea, and then the next vampire thing is instantly activates damage feels like way later. So that will be on the date of the run. So when is that? 31/8. So like here. There, bumper thingy. I'll do it later. Anything else I'm forgetting? Where does that put Uilnslcoap on the ranking? Yeah, still here. Madandi is like way up there. And of course you. Yeah, I'll probably rewatch this later. I sure was Uilnslcoap that found it. The thing is, if it's not, it'll be here. Let's see. It'll be on SDA. Spell, zombie, faster, vampire, user recoveries, burn, sequel skip, Etsima skip. Okay, hang on. There is a chance it's on Spiral Out. There's definitely not on Mad Andy. Let's see, Burn Trapper String. Sequel skip. Let's see. Here. Yeah, it's not here. It might actually be like hang on. Is this on YouTube? Yeah, I have on YouTube. It might be on the commentary. I mean on the comments. 2-2 error 1-1 1/2. No idea. Yeah, it's the glitch one. Unless I missed it on SDA and they talk about it. Maybe they talk about it before. Enchant, flintlock, shotgun. Alright, what else? Can you give me a link to that time? Yeah, of course. There is. He has war record history, marathon history, and glitches and contributions. I need to do like the last update with this run because I haven't watched it before. So yeah, I'll probably rewatch this. And okay, so how about this? How about I do a BRB? What time is it? Yeah, it seems fine. I'll do a BRB, and then I think I'm gonna check on some more stuff. I need to check out the Black Guardian fight, I think, of Spiral Out, the Burial of Enga, and we already got attack cancels on the revolver, I guess. So I guess that could be another contribution, because I don't know if... I don't feel like Mad Andy, I mean, Spiral Out knew about attack cancels on ranged weapons, because we just saw there the revolver shots. Those were like not cancelled, for example, which is kind of weird. Like both got one of them, you know, one got it with range, the other one with melee. All right, let's go here. What song can I put? No, it's not too long. I actually want a long song. I'm gonna put a very long song. I don't care. I just want to hear this fucking song because it's good and I love it. I want to stretch too. And I haven't put Mars Volta song in a while. So we go for that. Be right back. Stick around for a little bit of Eternal, like just a little bit of talk and like I guess watching something on emulator. Oh, there's the Bone Thief too, the Bone Thief thingy, and then maybe either Spelunky or Lost Vikings. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, stick around. I'll come back. Yeah, that song just ends like that. It just stops. It's because it mentions into the next one, Acidos Magdalena. That is Make Amputecture from Amputecture from Mars Volta. I love that song. Pretty long, 11-minute song. Still great. Anyway, so there. Dolphin. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, I guess. But I love that shit. I really love Mars Volta. It like I can't really choose a favorite band, but if I had to choose, you know, with like a gun in my head or something, it could be Mars Volta. It could be. Haven't opened this shit in forever. Alright, so what do I need to check? Burrow cancel with revolver. How do I get there? US Alex. Any Alex works. Let's go Alex 9. Why not? Also, let's open DME. So, US. Give myself some stamina. And I won one of the flags. Alex. Enemies in the mansion. 7. Okay, I still remember how to play the game. Good. It's been a while since I played this game. I've been adding some things to my to-do list, though, as I think of them. Nice. Yeah, I also haven't touched Eternal in a while. Like, I've been running Lost Vikings 2, because I wanted to come back to that game. And yeah, like I'd stop after I think after I got the 2-hour 100%. Because then I started to prepare for my surgery at that point. And then later I was just recovering, so like even before the surgery I was kind of preparing, just doing like casual stuff with Spelunky and stuff like that. And then after the surgery I couldn't speedrun because the pain was too much. And then later I just came back to Lost Vikings. Taking a small break, I guess, from Eternal. Even while I do want to do a lot of stuff, but I'm enjoying a different game for the time being. Okay, so this... Wait. That's a thing? They attack other zombies? Did we know about this? Fuck, I want to kill this trapper. Come on. Be nice. I wanna watch the zombie die. Yo, I had no idea about this because there's so, like, there's not a lot of situations where you see bounties and zombies of different colors. Unless you summon them. Yeah, and it's just a zombie. Like, I wonder if I kill it, if it's gonna have the bounty or not. Yeah, it does. Yo, that's so cool. I can't believe I never knew about this. Because again, you always get bounties of the same colors. Pretty much. Like the same color of zombies. I think the Kareem one had a... Yeah, that one, yeah. Like, the Kareem one is always Celota. Yeah. No matter what. The Kareem one on the soldier. But like this thing, like seeing a bounty attacking a zombie, that's the thing. And it has like, and it's an entire animation, you know? And now it's like slow. That means it does damage to it. Or something. Like it's low health now. You've seen it before? Okay. Okay, but we are not here for that. What are we here for? Oh yeah, Borodek, okay. But I guess I need another target. How do I even do this? Well, let's get rid of the trapper at least. Can do it with this one. Okay, I don't think it does. I think it was just the angle. Either that or was like very precise. Well, that works, of course. It was from the side, though, but I really think it was just the angle. That's my guess. Okay, the barrier. US Edward portals. Number 2, I guess. It could be either 2 or 1. Let's go number 2, which is the one Devin got. Yeah, Suntech. So awkward. Yeah, you don't see it. If you run there, of course. It does take a while to see it, but it's there. It's right there. But you see, it does take a while to see it with this, with 3-4-3. But it is there. Now, is it me or is kind of glitch, maybe? Like, I'm not sure if this part up here is like normal. What about the other one? No, I guess it is normal. Cinematic will probably get rid of it. Let's see. Yes, indeed. That's so weird. Alright. What about from 1? I can't believe it. Like, we discovered this because of Uilnslcoap using 16.9. That's so funny. Okay, so yeah, here's activated because you can. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. This makes sense. I think I know what's going on. Like, I guess the lever has a flag or something for, like, if you're doing this in order, it makes sense for this barrier to be up. So somehow the script, they just leave the script or something, or I don't know. Like, the lever does something to put it on this state when you're coming from number 1 instead of number 2. Because there, yeah, the game prevents you going to the other room because that's for number 2. Still weird. Yeah. I guess I have to put this on the timeline. Do I give it... Who do I give this to? I could give it to me. For noticing it. Maybe. I don't know. Uilnslcoap? Yeah, I guess. How about I give it to both? But no, I think I'll give him the 16 night thing entirely, because there was the bishop thing. I mean, not the bishop, the Augustine thing, and the bumper thing too. There's like 3 things I notice. Just weird stuff that is normally out of camera. And there's probably more, honestly. Yeah, and that's about it. The other thing I was thinking was the lever script temporarily sets the barrier to the after 1 state, but the permanent flags don't change. So any room reload with fixed, yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, I want to see this thing. You. Recovery. Yeah, so 7 spell is Uilnslcoap idea. Like 7 attack. I had the impression that Spiralot did 7 on second phase though. If I remember. Yeah. Yeah, I probably need to do some reviews on that. To map out the contributions. I guess. Oh, also 7 for third phase. Yeah, that's interesting too. And that's because of magic mostly. So basically the pool for the Black Guardian, that's the big change. That's the big Uilnslcoap change that allowed the other thing. I guess. Cool. PG. I originally thought only a 7 version worked. Oh, you mean like you have to use a 7? I think casually, yeah, okay. I think casually I did figure out using all of them. Because I remember on different playthroughs, like maybe like being young even. I remember doing like 3 number 3, 2 number 5, or 1 number 7. And like having a hard time on figuring out the timing for the number 7. I think. Could be misremembering, but alright. Well, that's good enough. We got some stuff. I'm probably gonna rewatch this to map out the last contributions. And with that, the timeline is almost done. I still need to get some links on the last part, like on the FreeCast era, and then Cinematic Restore and some optimizations 100%. Because I haven't got the exact links, like the reference, you know, citation needed and all that shit. There's a lot from my streams. Like a lot of those are on my streams. Even like stuff discovered by you. Because this is like the era where I started saving all my streams, so that's kind of the cool part. And yeah, I just haven't done that because it's a lot of work actually to like see the exact timestamp. But yeah, I think that's it for Eternal. I don't know if what can I do now? I kind of want to keep streaming. I guess I can do some Spelunky.